Hello, and welcome to Spurs Kings TV. If you're here, you know what time of the week it is. It is Tuesday, and you're ready for Ashmatic's analysis. Ash, first of all, before we even get into the Fulham game, are you well?
Yeah, I'm well, man. I'm as well as could be. Let's get to it, man. I ain't got time to waste.
Well, before we even get into it, right? I just want to. This is Spurs fans for you, right? And some of the reactions I've seen this week, right? I wanted to bring up three. This is how wild Spurs fans can be, right? So, one thing I saw on X today, someone come out and said, right, where are all the Spurs fans that came out this week? Where were they last week when we beat Villa, right? And you're like, okay. And some guy went back and went, they were there. You just told them to be quiet. They're too miserable. They're too negative. Right? So I was like, yeah, he got you there because that's what you said. And go support Arsenal. That's what you told them last week. And then come out in their woodworks today. But this was the best one, right? So you know everything talking about Ange and Conte has been this week.
Mm.
This was the best one. I was watching the show, right? And they know who they are, right? They said, could you imagine if Ange had the Milan game last year, right? The one where we drew 0-0 at home, right? A Celtic fan had already commented in the comments and went, in Europe, Ange ball didn't work, right? In the Champions League, it didn't work. And they went, could you imagine? And everyone said, but hold on, he would have lost the first leg about 3 or 4-0, so there would have been no second leg to chase.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right? And then the third one, Ange out. What the hell? Right? Why the hell do you want Ange out? If you want Levy out, Ange is your best scenario to get Levy out. Because if he doesn't back Ange, these are some of the wild takes this week, and it's been from both sides. And I just had to get them three out there. But the Champions League one, they know who they are, was the wildest take I saw, right? Ange ball doesn't work in Europe. A Celtic fan actually said this.
What is the name begin with? I'm joking. We don't snitch on this show. We don't do no snitching.
But let's bring out the guest. Let's bring them out because actually, let's bring out the whore first. The whore who's been whoring himself out. He went to the concert and missed the game, right? So all he's done for the last day and a half is got everyone's streams, right? But let's get him on. Let's get him on. Sonny, I hope you are well.
How have you ratted me out there? That was honestly. I don't know. Everyone called me on their channels this week, and I didn't even watch the game. I was at the O2 with no signal, watching Neo. I thought we'd get closer to top 4. I was mad, and is there any other Neo songs I can think of? I don't know. I was so sick. That's what I'm going to say.
Boss.
But no. Sonny, thank you for coming on. Obviously, once we lost, everyone wants a piece of you. So obviously, we had to get a piece of you this week.
Honestly, fresh off the press. You said a couple of weeks off, and I'm back on all the channels. Getting my face back out there, wearing my new Ange t-shirt. I'm back in Ange. I don't know, that Celtic thing is nuts, by the way. I can't believe that. I'm shocked.
And then the man that was all telling us last week, right? And he was called a clown. He was called every name underneath the sun after we beat Villa 4-0 and said, how can you be this miserable? And he told everyone to wait. Then we waited, and he was right. It only took, 7 days? Not even that, 6, because we played on the Sunday. But, he's the one who makes us lose subscribers. He makes us lose views. But here he is. He knows who he is. Alex, are you well?
Well, it's Mr. Box Office to you, the ratings killer, the professor of truth and entertainment. The people's nightmare, but also the people's guilty pleasure, and that's it. And if you don't know, get to know. You know what I mean? You know how it goes every single time. And big up to you guys for inviting me. And like I said before, on channels already. Unfortunately, I haven't done a stream for quite a while, and I like to do it, but I've been benching. You know what I mean? Because I need to refresh, reset, restart. You know what I mean? I said I haven't proved my point yet. And we'll get into that in a little bit anyway. You know what I mean? So back to you guys, man. But big up to you guys. Big up to you, Sonny, as well. You know what I mean? And let's enjoy. Let's get into it.
So Ash, let's talk about these goals, right? Did Fulham exploit our weaknesses at the weekend? And why I say that, we had 2 crosses low into the box
Mm.
from the wings, right? Being very open in the and then scoring, and then your third one's from a set piece. Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, we've been poor all season, to be fair, on set pieces. Our the space is always in behind because we play the high line, and they knew that. They know that we play quite central. We kind of pack that midfield. We invert our fullbacks, so the space is always there to be exploited, and they did that quite well in numbers. I felt like on the ball they were a lot more sharper than us, and I felt we were sloppy and a bit casual in possession. So I think that's the reason why a lot of people are saying now Spurs are a bit arrogant. I think the fans are more arrogant than the actual team itself, because I don't think we've got a lot of characters that are arrogant, in my opinion. Maybe Madison, you could possibly call him arrogant, but the type of players we have, I don't think they actually are arrogant. I just felt on the day, passes were sloppy, decision making was poor, lackadaisical at times, and I think in the final third where it matters, we didn't take our chances, and that was it. Bottom line.
Sonny, you've obviously had time to watch the 3 goals back. Again, you know, one's come from Anthony Robinson. Was it Willian on the right? I can't remember who crossed it in on the right. And then obviously the whole corner situation, and we just don't clear our lines. It's probably been a problem for us all season defensively this year.
I mean, usually when we say about the high line, we say it's due to like being counter-attacked, but allowing these crosses to be swung in is not good enough. And it's hard to, you know, people are blaming Dragusin, but Pedro Porro probably got a blame for the first one. We all know defensively he can be a bit suspect. It's just a hard one to put your finger on. And then, yeah, the set pieces has been an issue all season. To allow Muniz in the box, like on the back post. You know, we had Harry Kane, who used to be like deadly at that. We should know defensively how to handle those situations. But probably Andrew's now got to go back on the training ground, tweak those things, because it's not good enough to you should not be letting a cross be delivered from that deep on a football field, no matter what level of football, Sunday League, always Premier League.
Alex, you told us all last week on We Are Tottenham TV. They were saying, how can you be this negative after the game and everything like that? They literally went at you. And then within 6 days, they prove you right. But defensively, why was it so bad? Why are we allowing these balls to get in the box? Why are we not being... And even when they're getting into the box, why are we not first to the ball?
Listen, I don't know that, to be honest with you. I'm not so concerned about our defence at the moment. I'm not very concerned at the moment. And I know that sounds a bit weird, me saying it, but
considering how many goals we've let in, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I think the thing that ruined us, the midfield is a concern for me, because of not playing well. And you know why I feel that at the moment, because I've said about I'm not going to say it again, because everyone knows what I feel about backups. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Don't need to say anymore. And that's why you're allowing players like Madison, Basuma, and Sarr having a free reign. When they're not playing well, they're still playing. And that's not right for me as well, for me at all, as far as I'm concerned. I think the whole people having a go at Dragusin, I'm sorry, I'm not listening to that, because he should have played a long time ago. I'm not having Emerson in my team. I'm sorry. I told you he's bang average. People jumping up and down about him. You know, he's not a great footballer. I'm sorry. I'm not having it. Okay. We rely too much on the fullbacks. I think they do too much. Sorry. Again, I think that's an issue, major issue. When they're not on their game, that's not great. And Romero can be hot and cold, to be honest with you. So I think that has been a problem. I think they seem to be able to get through very easily. But I think it's more to do with us in attack, not taking our chances, rather than defence, because we play more attacking football. And I think that would have been more of a harm to Fulham rather than defence. Because if we scored the goals, because let's look at it from the game as a whole, yeah? We didn't play well in the first half, beginning of that first half, right? But after the 25 minutes, even I'm seeing it, because I see what I see, right? We had chances. If Madison scores that chance, if Son scores that chance, Fulham are thinking, what's going on? You know what I mean? You know? Even when we're 2-0 down, right? if we scored the chances that we had, we're back in the game. You know what I mean? So for me, yeah, I can see why people are saying what they're saying, but even I said it. I'm not concerned about the defense as long as they're because we're gonna let in chances. You know what I mean? That's why we're playing that high line. We want to go forward. It's more the forward line for me. I'm sorry, and I think it has to be the forward line and the midfield because that midfield lost that battle, and that's the concern for me. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm sorry if I'm not answering your question, but that's just me. That's just me at the moment. I have to be honest.
So Ash, he has brought up the midfield, right? And personally, that was my concern at the weekend. Basuma, Sarr, and Madison, all three of them, I'm going to say it, all of them were just poor. Madison gave the ball away, 2 or 3 minutes into that game when he got, I think he got the ball from Romero. He tries to, I don't know what he was trying to be on. He was trying to lay a threaded pass. I believe it was Lukic that then intercepts it within 2 minutes of the game starting, which puts our defense under pressure. And it just seemed to be the constant theme going forward, right? Now, I've seen a lot this week. Now, people questioning, do we need a monster number 6, right? Because Basuma and Bentikov both played there, fouled. Skip played there, fouled, right? And when people are asking for this monster number 6, we looked at what Polinia did at the weekend, right? And we're average, right? So he's done that against a decent side. He hasn't done it in all games because he's been hot and cold as well, right? But he's been probably the 3rd best after, and let's be honest, Rodri and Declan Rice are the 2 monster number 6s in the league. There's no other ones that besides them 2, right? So obviously, and them 2 weren't cheap. Both when you think about when Rodri signed for City, he was expensive, and when Declan Rice is the most expensive from last season. So do you believe we need a new number 6, or do you think Basuma can take that mantle still?
I think I have to agree with Mr. Box Office TV. If you don't know, you better get to know. Make sure you like and subscribe. I think they need competition. I think that's the biggest thing for me in that 6. We need competition in Madison's role. I know we've got Gio trying to be competition for Madison, but let's face it, I don't know what's going on right there. I don't know if Ange rates him or he thinks he's too delicate. He's injury prone, so that's why he doesn't swap him and Madison out more regularly. But I just feel like with Madison, when he does drop into that kind of hole, when he drops deep, he tries to force the issue too much at times.
Yeah, which he was trying to do at the weekend. And plus, if rumours right, he wasn't fully fit.
Yeah, I heard that as well going into the game. So this is another thing for me. If we haven't got enough competition and he's not fully fit, I know he's vice captain. He's one of the leaders that have been appointed alongside Romero and Son to be one of the captains. I just think, yeah, there needs to be competition because if he's not fully fit, we need to be able to rest him. Do you know what I mean? I know he's saying I'm fine. Players say that all the time, but he needs to, today, this week, take a seat. And also, when Madison's in possession, we need a Basuma to be more front-footed and cover him in his position because there's no point playing positional play if all of a sudden Madison drops deep. You've got your 2 centre-backs, so that's 3 behind the ball, and then Basuma's not really doing much. He's not advancing in the pitch. He needs to be doing that. Whatever Madison's doing in that position, that number 8, he needs to then jump into that position and he needs to be a bit more front-footed. For me, Basuma hasn't carried the ball enough. And I think that's why people are really upset about him, saying he looks lethargic. He looks like he doesn't care. We're so used to him carrying the ball, being assertive, also being like proactive as well. And he's so press resistant. That was the biggest complaint we had about Højbjerg. The whole purpose of him replacing Højbjerg is that, Højbjerg passes sideways and backwards. He's not brave enough on the ball. Now, if you take bravery outside of Basuma's game, what do you really have? He's not really known for his audacious passing, his passing over the top, his switches of play, his diagonal balls, or him trying to find the front 3. So then all of a sudden, you're carrying a player almost. A lot of people said Basuma's not a 6. Against Aston Villa, I didn't hear that because Basuma was holding down that position, and anytime Villa tried to break, he was the one being that enforcer. He was winning that ball back. The only thing is he wasn't really doing that much on the ball, I think, and that's the reason why people are throwing stones at him at the moment. Sarr, I thought, had one of his worst games in my opinion. Every time he got the ball, he tried to pass and it was intercepted. He was busy-bodied. He did try to press, but in terms of like actual quality on the ball, carrying the ball, dribbling the ball, beating players, even winning the ball back for his team, I don't think he delivered on that front. So for me, I just think we need competition in all those three places. And I have looked at a player, but before we get into that, I wanted to talk about the tactics a little bit, if I could. But I'll let the panel, because we've got guests there, just talk about the midfield and their opinion, and then I'll talk about the tactics.
Sonny, I'm coming to you next. Midfield three. Like I've said for weeks, like I think there's two midfield threes, and I think if one gets taken out and the other three are available, I've said we can't really mix and match, right? And actually, when it's Basuma, Madison, and Sarr, that's the ideal front three. But when you have to take one of them out, then it becomes Kulu, Bentancur, and one other, and usually Højbjerg. I'm gonna put Højbjerg in it, right? I know he's not the best, but they seem to all the chemistry between those three as a three always worked. But on Saturday, Basuma went missing. Sarr, probably, like Ash said, one of the worst games he's had. And Madison, if he was injured, probably shouldn't have played. I know hindsight's a wonderful thing, but we saw how he was in the first 2 minutes of that and how it was going to play out.
I think that's the problem with our midfield this year. I think it's been a lot of square pegs in round holes. You know, if you take into consideration that first 10 fixtures when we were electric, they're all fully fit and they're all on fine form and they all perform very, very well. Whereas now you've had Bentancur come in, he's still not fully fit. I don't care what people say. I know he was amazing against Manchester United, but since then he's not been the player we know he can be. It's hard to know whether these players are sixes or they eights. We still don't know. I think they're still adjusting to the Ange Ball system. I still think, that's the strongest midfield that you said there, Suma, Sarr and Madison. But I think it's that they get sometimes confused who's slotting in where, who's covering whose position. And if Basuma isn't on fine form, that's what the whole Postecoglou system relies on, the six being fantastic for 90 minutes. And if you do go to sleep, which Basuma possibly can in some games, and maybe if Sarr's not on his game to cover him, then we do have issues there. I think that's I think the Madison stuff is interesting because I've noticed he is dropping deep and not knowing what to do, whereas when Kane did it, he sort of was able to unlock doors, whereas I think Madison is struggling. That's not me taking away how good he is as a player, because I've seen him drop deep and thread balls through an eye of a needle, but it's really, I mean, it's hard because I didn't watch the full 90 minutes, but I've watched the highlights back and the in-depth ones as well. And it's still hard to pinpoint where it all went wrong, because I think I agree with Mr. Box Office. It isn't this defensive issue. I think people are using the defense as a bit of a scapegoat, whereas it's like, it's the whole team from back to front, really, that it was just not really connecting on their day. And if the forwards aren't putting these goals away, I mean, I was just looking at the Premier League table. People were moaning about the goals we conceded last season, and that was like 60 odd. We're only 20 away. So what's that? Two fixtures?
Two per game, two per game and we fit it.
and so, I think it's a lot of, the thing is, and this is where my optimism comes, I still think it's so early on in these players are still learning Ange Ball as a philosophy, whereas it's not easy. I think the fact that they picked it up so early, most of them, is a thing, but a lot of just conversations today, like people putting more question marks over players, where last week they were being saluted, like, is Kulusevski good enough to play on the wing? And it's just like, I don't mind people criticising, and I don't mind people having their say about certain players, but it's sort of, some people do run hot and cold. Like, if you're going to salute them one week and then slate them the next, I feel like that's a bit poor form. Personally, I feel like you got to take it with a pinch of salt sometimes, and that's why I rate Mr. Box Office going off last week and saying all that stuff. If even after a 4-0 win, I rate it.
Alex, going to bring you, because you've already mentioned the midfield, right? And I want you to elaborate on why you think it was so poor from them.
I don't know. Just at the moment, I just think at the moment, I don't rate our players at the moment. I think it's kind of like now I'm looking at it like this, and I think this is the thing now. I'm an old school fan, like I am before. I just think some players are just I don't rate. I just that's why I say the least bang average. I don't think they're individual. They're just not individuals at the moment that take charge. And I don't think that's just Tottenham's problem. I think it's in the Premier League as a whole. You know what I mean? I think the system makes the player. The player should make the system. That's the thing at the moment. And I think there's too much talk about the system. I don't like the fact that players are not adaptable to positions as well. I think that's why I don't rate some of our players at the moment. I think they're stuck to one position and that's it. You know, like for instance, you had Dembele. Dembele could just play that full role. You know what I mean? You know, you look at what John Stones does for Man City, you know, just the way that he comes out and does that role number 6. You know, I think there's too much about we need to get the number 6. Okay, so what number 6 do you want? Oh, but the number 6 that are out there's limited, aren't they? And let's be honest here, the number 6s that are around, they were created, they were developed it into that player. You know what I mean? And I think at the moment, I just think there's too much of this. Oh, we need time to learn, and that I knew this was coming. You know what I mean? I think the 10 games were over the top. That's why I said from the very, very get go, I'm not convinced by Ange. I said that's why. I only said I hate Ange because of the fans calling me scum. That's the only reason why I said it, right? Because I knew these problems were going to come, and I actually think now the midfield at the moment just needs it needs competition. One, the Celso Argentinian Clom Carroll's not competition because he was twerking to leave to go somewhere else. You know what I mean? And then he turned up in 2 games, which was over the top. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, Sonny. I've been always saying that I've had my challenges with Kulusevski. Sorry, he's been bang average. I'm sorry. Yes, he's been in the centre 2 couple of games. He was good, but he's not a winger. Sorry, right? I've watched this guy. He gets in the right position sometimes. I'll be at the stadium watching him, but he's just not a winger. Um, you know, Bentancur, I've got to say this, and I've been calling him a Juventus reject, and I agree with you. Man United, he looked good. He was very good. I thought he looked good when he came on. I thought he looked very good when he came on. I thought he was trying to make things work. I thought he
Yeah.
looked very.
Do you know what? I'm gonna actually agree with you on that. I thought when Benton Core came on, forget the Højbjerg situation, because I think when him and Højbjerg came on, I felt like it was a change that should have been made a lot. We'll get into it in a bit, but it should have been a change made a lot earlier because the midfield were completely. They couldn't handle Polina and
Yeah.
Lukic. They literally couldn't handle them, and it needed to be changed up. And I think Bentoncourt's even come out and said, right, the problem that he's had is that he had the run of games where they were all bunched together, but then it came to after Christmas, and then he had the game against United, and it'd be 2 weeks before he played again, and his rhythm started to come out, so he's injured.
He came back too early though, didn't he?
Yeah, and he came back too early. So
And Ange said it as well. Ange said it as well. You know what I mean? It's like I said, and I just want to make it clear: I'm not right at the moment. I am not right by what I say. What I haven't proved anything at the moment. You know what I mean? This is a long-term thing. That's why I'm not convinced at the moment because I know I need the board to back what they said in June. Yeah, and that's when I'll start be convinced. Yeah, we ain't got even nowhere yet as far as I'm concerned. But it's just for me, it's that midfield and that front line. The front line, I've said already. I'm sorry, they've got no swag. Only Son's got it. They've got no swag. They've not got their arrogance. You know what I mean? They've not got that swag saying, you know what, they miss a chance, shrug their shoulder like I did before, and they'll say, sorry, I'll bang it in next week or bang it in after that. Like Rashford did Man United against Liverpool. He missed that chance. He thought, no, swear that, I don't care. I'll just bang it in. And I banged it in, didn't I? You know what I mean? Look what Man United did in the cup final. You know, the cup. You know, that's what we miss. That's what we miss. And unfortunately, even though I called him a loser, Harry Kane, because he didn't win any trophies, we miss him. We are missing him.
we always were. We're always
We're
going to miss
always
Harry
missing
Kane.
him because he done what Sonny said. He played. He came in deep and he played 2 roles for us. You know what I mean? And that's quality. You know what I mean? You even see Son trying to do it as well. You know what I mean? Which I think he can't do it because he's getting older now, isn't he? You know? And I just think like I said from the beginning, what I've said at the earliest, I think the system is making the player. The players are not making the system. And Ange said that himself, and I don't even like the guy. Ange even said it himself. He said, well, I give you my system. I said it on Mr. Box Office TV as well, my last video, by the way, right? I give my system, I give the structure. It's new now to just unleash. Just unleash, right? None of them are doing it. None of them are doing it. So that just comes to my conclusion. They're not good enough. Hopefully I've answered your question. That's all I can say.
Ash, just before you go into the tactics as well,
Yeah.
I just quickly want to ask a question because I think it's going to lead very much into what you're going to tell us.
Right.
Is Van der Ven key to this tactic or the key to Ange Ball because of the way, because of his pace, his speed, and his desire to win
I
the
mean,
ball back?
like, I think a lot of the goals, to be fair, may have been avoided if he was on the pitch. And I hate to say it because even if Van der Ven made the same mistake as Dragusin, which I'm going to get into, I still think he has enough recovery pace to get a block on that shot against the Fulham striker, Muniz. I can't say his name. Yeah. So and again, the second goal, some of the goals that happened, I thought Van der Ven, if he was there, that doesn't happen, and he saved us time and time again. Like Everton game, he saved us. He saved us against what other games was this? Brighton. I think he's done some last ditch tackles. So some of the times I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm not having a go at Dragusin, by the way. It's just, it is what it is. And
you know what? Yeah, just to go on the Dragusin stuff, he's never really played left centre back. That's one thing. He has come from Genoa, who played a back three, and he was right of that back three, right? So what we're now asking him to do, like, is quite difficult, and he's in a new country. But I didn't completely blame him either. I'm with Alex and Sonny, where I thought the midfield was just they made him exploit the defense and all that, and just couldn't, because they wasn't winning stuff. They were giving the ball away. It was always Fulham's midfield and attack against the four, because the three of them were just non-existent.
Yeah. Let's look at it. Let's bring it up, man. It's a little breakdown that I did. Not 100% every single incident in the game. So, but it's just from a Spurs perspective. We're in a 4-2-3-1. Fulham on a 4-2-3-1 as well. Let me just go back a step, actually. Hold on. Fulham's lineup, they had Addison. They had it's not going back. Hold on. Go back. There we go. They had Werner in goal. They had Castagna as the right back, Robertson as the left back, Bassi centre back, Tosin, who we're linked with, well, was linked with anyway. He's playing centre back. João Palhinha in the midfield with Lukic. Both had good games, in my opinion. Lukic getting that goal for the second goal. Alex Iwobi in midfield, like prime Ronaldinho. No, I'm joking. We've got Pereira. I thought he had a great game as well, alongside Willian, and you had Rodrigo Muniz, who got injured in that first game that we played against. I think he was injured, so we missed out on him. And also they were missing Tosin, weren't they? They were missing Tosin at the back, and we exploited the fact that Bassi had to play right back or right-sided centre back. But anyway, our position, our team was, as always, Vicario on goal, Udogie, Dragusin, Romero, Porro at the back, with Papa Matassa and Basuma in midfield alongside James Madison, Brennan Johnson, Dejan Kulusevski, and Heung-min Son up top. This is the average positions for Fulham. As you can see, their furthest forward player actually wasn't even Muniz. Muniz is 18. I think that was Pereira as number 19.
Yeah.
He was their furthest forward player. 28 was Lukic, and 26 was Pereira.
Can you pause that for a second? Does that mean, right? Because just looking at that and their average positions, does that mean that they actually, looking at the tactics from Marco Silva, they actually aim for Dragusin, because that's all on his side?
Yeah, it's all on Dragusin's side, and also they've bunched together. So it's never on the left hand side, which is Porro's right hand side. Robertson and William played quite close together, so they attacked in pairs. And then again on this side, Muniz pulled off to the right hand side, which is Dragusin's side, the left for us, and followed behind Iwobi, number 22, and then Lukic not far behind. So Lukic was that third man when they tried to like gang up on us. Essentially, they had like a 3-man overload against Udogie and Dragusin. So they knew Udogie wanted to vert a lot, so those 3 sticks took together. And then Castagna often got wide as well. So number 21, their fullback, he also helped out. So sometimes they would have 4 players on one side, and that's the reason why we got bullied in the left-hand channel and in the right-hand channel. And sometimes Pereira would drift over and create a free alongside Robertson and Willian on that left-hand side, which is Porro's right-hand side. They knew they were going to invert, and yeah, it caused a lot of problems from what I saw. Spurs' average positions, you've got Udogie and you've got Porro playing on the left and the right. Then you've got Basuma sitting the furthest back as the defensive midfielder. You've got Papa Sarr playing a diagonal. They're never playing like a straight 2 pairs, slightly diagonal, with Madison just above. Son playing a number 9, and then Kulusevski playing quite close to him. And then Brennan Johnson was our furthest forward player. So he was the one that almost like the danger man, the man that was going to get in that space a lot of the time. It's going to kind of tie into maybe Sonny Loves Spurs' point, because I know he feels different about where Son should play. We'll get into that anyway. Possession wise, like expected goals, they have a higher expected goals than us. They're in better positions. So even though we had a lot of the ball and we did have chances, the chances they did create were more dangerous positions, if that makes sense. So they were in the box a lot more with their shots. They looked like they could score a goal from their actual chances. So they had 16 chances to our 14, 7 shots to our 5. So that just goes to show the domination they had in terms of actually creating actual goals itself. They had 3 shots off target, but then we had 8 shots off target. So that goes into what Mr. Box Office was saying and Sonny was saying in terms of the front 3 or the midfield as well. We were lackluster. Like, we should be having more shots on target. They had more shots on target. So that just sums it up there. Block shots as well, 6 shots versus 1. But yeah, those are the stats. Just want to go into the first half stats as well. Counter attacks, they had 5, we had 1. So their game plan was counter pressing. So anytime we had the ball, they looked to attack us to make sure we were out of position, and that's where they hurt us the most. On the next slide I've got here, the first half expected goals, they were 1.7 compared to our 0.51. That means their chances they created was a lot better than us, even in the first half, even though we had more possession. And so these stats, I know people hate XG, but this tells you that even though we had a lot of the ball, their chances, like, they had better chances than us pretty much. Again, total shot 7. We had 5 in the first half, 3 versus 1. Shots off target, 3 again. Block shots, 1. They had 3 block shots. That was really down to Romero having a good game, and Dragusin at times as well. Big chances, they had 1. We had 2. We missed our big chances. They hit the web work. We know what happened next. Counter attacks, as I said before. This is the second half. Again, expected goals. We were better, so we had a better second half when we made those substitutions that he's made, and we did have a little bit more of the ball, but not that much. And again, if you look at the big chances, we had a lot more of the big chances. Now here comes that Madison casual in possession that you were talking about, Marlon. He's the one that loses the ball within the first 2 minutes, and it sets the tone for the game. Because when you have when you lose possession and it's in a pivotal area, you can see there's only Romero that's kind of back. You can't really see Dragusin. He's off the pitch. He's off the camera angle here. But already you can see if we lose the ball, we're going to be at a disadvantage. So Madison dropping in midfield and trying to make a pass into Udogie right there, that pass shouldn't have been made. The better pass should have been into Basuma and then Basuma passes into Udogie. So I think sometimes we play at 100 miles per hour and we're too hurried in possession, especially when we're trying to play deep. So Madison's trying to play those, sometimes the outside of the boot, those clever passes where he can bypass midfields. They know that. They know that Madison also doesn't like to be ruffled up, doesn't like to be tackled, and they took full advantage of that. Here's another angle of it as well. Looking for Udogie. Your doggy's there in that half space where I talk about, in that channel. If he gets to him, then we're on attack. But it doesn't. We lose the ball. And again, as I said before, we're outnumbered. They've got 4 players against 3 of our players there. So you've got Iwobi, as I said, in that half space channel. You've got the striker, Muniz, and then you've got Pereira right in that number 9 position. Willian on the opposite side of Robertson. And that was a common theme. They kind of attacked in bunches, both in those half spaces. First turnover happens. Again, look, you can see we're outnumbered on both sides. Overloaded in the channel, tries to draw us in one position. And Pereira was patient. Sometimes Fulham did 1 or 2 passes. And then Pereira then attacked the box. Then he made that run into that channel. And that's when they caused a lot of trouble for us. Luckily, Romero was on it. And he makes that first block that I was talking about. And that avoids Fulham going 1-0 up. Sar's pass was read by Robinson. Robertson runs out, and Porro at the edge of the screen, you can see there, he's out of position because, again, it's another turnover. It's a part where we're trying to play really quickly, really fast, because people say, oh, we look lethargic. No, sometimes we're too hurried. That's where we get exploited. And that's what Fulham took note of. And then when we lost the ball, it's to a high-quality counter-attack. Robertson was very useful on that wing, gets to the byline, and then he dribbles on the outside, wakes his way into the box, and then he passes it into Muniz, their number 9, and he just misses it. He just misses it. Udogie just does enough where he clips it, and he doesn't end up scoring. That goal should have been 1-0 at least for Fulham. Straight away, we go on the other end, and again, because we're a counter-attacking team, we're really good at fast transitions. Son has a chance, and he decides to hit it on that the inside of his boot. He tries to curl it in the top, which I feel was the wrong decision. Goes over the bar, and we miss a chance. And I think Son should do a lot better in that position. Madison chance, again, we get the ball down to Brendan Johnson. Brendan Johnson carries the ball, finds Madison, Udogie cuts the ball back. And then as Udogie cuts the ball back, we unfortunately don't take advantage. Again, Johnson here, there's a counter-attack once again. Madison has acres of space, and I don't think he's very confident at the moment because you can see 3 players here, they're all out of position. But Madison, for me, if you're in that D, I call it zone 14, zone 12, you shoot, especially if you're attacking midfielder and you've got that ability. For me, you've got to shoot if you're on the edge of the D and you're a confident Madison, he takes a shot there. But what he does, he passes the buck and he passes it to Johnson. Some people may disagree with me. You can see Madison there at the edge of the D. I think he can have a shot there. He can put in that bottom corner and he scores. But
do you think, Ash, just to stop you on that, do you not think that's down to the chance he missed earlier and him not being fully fit, why he doesn't take that chance?
Yes, correct. And I think that this goes back into the theory where sometimes it's about the momentum, the game state. I think Fulham were on top of us for 15 minutes. And then when our chances came, we were moving a bit nervous because, like you said, we didn't take that chance. He's not confident. Basuma's not playing within himself. Sar's making mistakes. So all of a sudden now, our top players, they're passing the buck. He gives it to Johnson. Johnson opens his body up to shoot, which is it's still not a bad pass. He's still got a lot of time. As you can see, he's got a lot of space. He's got a lot of time to pick that out. It comes into him. And guess what he does? He side foots it. But when he side foots it, as you can see, he kind of hits it into the ground. He doesn't really wrap his foot around the ball. He doesn't really get the corner. He ends up hitting it straight at the keeper into his hands. And that one's saved. Dragusin as well gets the ball and it comes across him. Now, Brennan Johnson has picked up a knock. He's got a knock by Bassi. The referee doesn't see it. I don't know if it's a foul or not, but he's on the floor nonetheless. I would say it's not a foul. I think Johnson needs to be stronger in that position. But again, you've got Dragusin. He's in his position and he plays it across the box. He plays it across the box. And that's where Johnson should be. Johnson should be there. That's our patterns of play. Normally, Johnson's there to tap it in because we are the tapping kings. I think, personally, it's the way we play. I think that's Ange ball. I think it's a pattern of play. So he does nothing wrong there, in my opinion. But if Dragusin has his head up, maybe he could take a touch and take a shot himself. Defenders can score, but I admit That's not in his nature. As a defender, he's not going to go to turn and shoot if he's near that 6-yard box. So I don't really blame Dragusin there, and it goes wide. Then the next opportunity that happens, what's this? Fulham, the Fulham goal, the second goal. Now I've kind of pulled it back where, oh no, what have I done here? This is the first goal. Yeah.
First goal.
It's the first goal. Yeah. So I'm a bit ahead. So basically, the ball that Pereira won, and it goes into Robertson on the wide. Everyone's like, Porro should be there. Where is he doing? Blah, blah, blah. Porro's trying to get back. He's trying to get in that position. He's trying to stop that cross, but he's out of position because it's a counter press. Again, it's not like they took a goal kick and then, like, you know, Porro was sleeping or he's lackadaisical. No, we had the ball. It was 50-50s and they won the 50-50 and it broke to Pereira. Pereira's passed it to Robertson, and then that's where they have the advantage. So Robertson's trying to get back. Now, for me, I'm rating more Muniz, because what he does, he gets on Dragusin's blind side. He gets on his blind side. And how he does the blind side, how he gets on his blind side is he looks at the defender's number and he stutters his run. He doesn't just run into the position. So for me, like a Richarlison is a bit gun-ho. Richarlison just runs in a straight line. He will try and get in the box. I think Muniz does something excellent. He kind of stutters his run. He slows it down. Then he speeds up. And because he slowed it down, that's how he got his blind side. Then he sped up, and that's how he lost Dragusin. He loses Dragusin, and his first touch was perfect. And then he was cool and composed, and he got the finish off, in my opinion. And now the point was, I think Dragusin, if that had been Mickey van der Ven, even if he does lose his marker, he has the pace to have recovery pace to make it up and get that challenge in and get a block in that shot. But it is what it is. Like, you know, I give credit to the striker on that one. This here is the second goal. It was Porro in possession. He tries to pass it into Basuma, but Pereira's there and he blocks it. This is what I saw. He blocks it and it goes through Porro's legs, and it should be a Spurs throw, in my opinion. This is what I saw. I don't know if you guys saw it different. It goes off for a throw, and so Fulham have the ball. So if it's a Fulham throw, Kulusevski is the nearest man, but who is he marking? Who is Kulusevski marking in this position? You've got Willian here. You've got Castagna there. And I think it's, I'm not sure what midfield that is. It might be Lukic, or it could be, what's his face? Paulinho. Could be Paulinho. Anywho, I've got Basuma. Basuma is picking up Willian. Sar's picking up Willian, and Basuma's picking up, that's not even, I think that's Pereira, actually. Basuma's picking up Pereira. My apologies. Because Porro's not in shot. He's got Castagna. My bad. I personally think Madison's there. I don't know if you can see the top of the screen. Madison's not even looking at what's going on with the throw. He's looking at the goal. He's looking at something else. And then you've got this midfielder right here, free in space, right? So at this point, we're in a lose-lose situation. Throws the ball. If you can see here, look, Kulu still hasn't woken up. He's still not marking anyone. Throws the ball. Yep. And then look, Sar's between two players now because he's trying to mark Willian. Everyone's like, Sar, you're not doing your job, blah, blah, blah. But because he's in two players, he's trying to press him now desperately because our midfield's gone to sleep. Look, you got them. You got Kulusevski there, still in no man's land, not marking anyone. He's marking the thrower. So then now the ball's broken to him. Guess what? Basuma's out of position because he's focusing on the danger man in Pereira, because Pereira was causing us a lot of problems. He's passed the ball into space. Look how much space it is. Basuma should be there. Why is he free? Because Pereira's smart. He's smart. He's not going to stay in midfield. He's going to drift off, and he knows that he's going to take Basuma's attention away. Because what I said earlier in the tape was they had players in our pockets, and they had 3 or 4 players in the pockets, which kind of drew our players away. Anyway, it goes into the midfield. You know what happens next? In the midfield, it goes, he switches to play out wide. Look how much space is there. Look, Basuma quite out of position, as I said before. Look how much space is out wide. Udogie is thinking, who's got that? Udogie's there in the far left. Udogie's like, right, shall I pick him up or shall I pick up the man on the far right? Do you know what I'm saying? What do I do? Anyway, we fast forward it. Ball comes in. And that's how Udogie gets done, because now he's trying to run back in position. And then my man just runs inside. Robbie runs inside him. He baffles him. Castagna's making that run, outside run. He was doing it all day. And this was second into the first half. It was a bit like how Spurs score goals. We score goals in clusters. And because they scored the goal at the end of the first half, they scored the second goal at the start of the second half. And that flustered us. Castagna outside, throws the ball in. And then my man makes the run. And Lukic, again, he finishes it. Because he, again, as I said at the start of the video, when they're in that kind of positional play, where I showed the average positions, he gets that goal. Yeah. So that was no coincidence. Cool. Fulham overloading their possession. I'm showing it here again. We win the ball back. They win the ball back. They're in a little triangle here. The ball comes in. And again, Castagna will be on that same line. Castagna runs. Robbie knows what to do. Knows to travel inside. Lukic is helping him out. And Pereira's even drifting over. And that's where that overload carries on. And that's the reason why we were struggling so much. We know they know to play into these dangerous areas. They come in time in the box. Castagna has another chance. And this time we end up blocking it. That leads to the set piece. Porro loses his man. Obviously, Bassi hits the post. And then Dragusin was late to react. They end up scoring a goal. And that is simple as that. Johnson has a chance in the second half. Sonny dribbles. He gets past a few players in that far left-hand channel. He crosses it across the box. And then all of a sudden, boom, we should score. But for whatever reason, Brennan Johnson misses from inside the 6-yard box. Make of that with what you will. Some people said it was offside, but regardless, he misses the chance. Werner has a chance. Kulusevski gets inside the box, heads it back, gives it into Johnson. Johnson flies across the box again. And who we got? Werner. Werner, it's harder for him to miss than for him to score, in my opinion. But for some reason, he's missed it. And it is what it is. And here's another angle of that. Werner missing again. All right. Last chance I'm going to bring up, the last bit is Richarlison. Richie had a chance. Højbjerg comes on, fires across the box. Kulu headers it back once again. It finds its way to Richarlison in space where you want him, and he fires it wide. And that summed up Spurs' performance. And that was the reason why I felt that front three let us down. As Box Office said, we had chances. As Sonny said, he thinks that front three wasn't quite right. And it's not been the first time this has happened this season, in my opinion.
So, Sonny, after that deep dive into those tactics, you don't need to watch the game now. You've literally just had every minute.
I just said that was better than match of the day. That was class.
So, my question is to you, right? So, 1-0, played poor. I think you've got the gist. We were playing poor. Not one player was performing. And just gone in at halftime, had the team talk. They've come out and done exactly the same. Why has it taken Ange so long then to make subs? Does Ange have the ruthlessness that other managers would probably have done? Like let's take Mourinho, right? If that's happened under Mourinho, half of them players would have been probably subbed.
I'm glad you said that, but I'd say Conte, Mourinho, also at Spurs did late subs. The amount of times I'm sitting there thinking, Conte change it, Conte change it, Conte change it.
Conte, I'll give you. Conte, I used to have moan about these subs as well.
They don't trust the players because Højbjerg is not good enough. Lo Celso is not good enough, and so you can understand why he's probably sticking with it. But what frustrates me is we've gone 1-0 down in games this season, and we've got a bit of a reputation of coming back in the second half. But I don't care. Again, I'm saying whatever level you play in football, you should not be conceding either side of half time because that's just putting nails in the coffin early doors. And when you've got all those chances as well, like you do back Spurs to score goals, and we've been on that amazing scoring run, scoring in every game. But
yeah,
for Fulham to shut us out like that, and then all those chances that Ashmatic just showed us, and just none of them on target is quite poor at this level. And that's the thing. If we're going to play this style of football. Because don't get me wrong, I'm wearing the Ange t-shirt. I might sound like a happy clapper, but I'm willing to say that I understand how this system works, and you've got to put these chances away. You've got to have potent attackers in those areas, scoring those goals. And at the moment, we haven't got that. But going back to your point, yeah, the subs. I just think, apart from you guys saying, and from what I've seen as well, Bentancur coming on, the other players who came on, they did they weren't. Personally, I don't think they're good enough. But when they did come on, they did make some changes. But it's little bit little too late. You know, we've already 3-0 down at the 60-something minute. The game's already gone. You know, you could have been a bit savage and made a change at half-time, tweaked it slightly, or when we've gone 2-0 down, make the change then. Like, be a bit more reactive. But then again, I'd say And has made subs, you know, to play devil's advocate, he has made subs in certain games which have changed the situation.
No,
when
no,
he's
no,
brought
no,
Brennan-
yeah.
when it, you know, so it's hard to again hit him
I've-
with that stick when
yeah.
it has worked out. You know, it does go both ways, doesn't it?
To be fair, I've been openly and honest. Most of these subs this season, even when it's worked out, have either been slightly too late or they haven't been at the right time. Like even when Johnson came on against Palace, I thought Johnson should have come on 10 minutes earlier. Because of the way the game was going. Before Eze scored his goal, you could plainly see. And I think, and I'll come to you, box office, with this one. I think for us and everybody that was watching, and I get exactly what you said, we've gone 1-0 down a lot in games this season and come back. But if you look at Ash's tactics there, right, most of the chances we had in the first half were before that first goal went in, right? But as soon as that first goal went in, did you notice Ash didn't really speak about nothing after that until they scored the second? Everything was giving the ball away, right? So the thing that I think for everybody watching was, and I think this was everybody, the second goal goes in, you knew it weren't going to get any better. Like like for us, it was yeah. The second and third goal, you're going, you can't sit there and watch that, knowing what you watched in the first half, to think that was going to get any better. Alex, spring you in on it. Do you feel like he should have probably made... Look, I'm not expecting some at half-time. I'm not going that far because I'm with you. I totally agree with you, Sonny. We've done games this year where we've gone 1-0 down. He's gone in at half-time and he's gone and said what he said. But this was way too early in the second half where they scored that second goal, right? And you're like, come on, just change it now. They're not going... They haven't reacted to what you said to them at half-time. Alex, bring you in. Was subs way too late, or was he not ruthless enough to begin with, or was it just a case of Andrew was trusting in what he was trying to do?
The stuff was way too late. That's obvious. It's way too late. I think unfortunately we're a momentum team. We're a momentum team because we're a momentum against Crystal Palace and we scored those goals. And I was there. We weren't that great then. We weren't great against Brentford. We scored the 3 goals momentum. After we scored the 3 goals, we were rubbish. You know what I mean? We score in certain times. We're a momentum team.
Yeah, it's been those 10 minutes where I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was El Tel said no. But actually, when you looked at the games from January, it seems to be we haven't, like, you take Burnley and the Man City game. We were crap, but we scored 1 goal against Burnley and City. We didn't even get a shot on target. But then you look at games in between. I think Man United is probably the only game where we scored more than 1 goal, which weren't in a 10-minute.
And let's be honest here, that was a bang average Man United team, by the way.
Oh yeah.
That weren't a great Man United team, so I don't even know why we were going over the top about it. You know what I mean? Even though I gave credit to Bentancur, yeah, but that was a bang average team, and we weren't that great. You know what I mean? It's just Man United were awful. You know what I mean? Because let's compare it to what we've seen before Man United. There have been better Man United teams that gave Tottenham a game. You know what I mean? But my point is, I just think at the moment, I think we are a very mental team because I've been at the stadium seeing it myself. You know what I mean? I've seen it myself. I've seen our team just like score 3 goals, and I'm like, and then after it was just like, what's going on here? You know, and it goes back on the fact I don't think our players are good enough. I don't think the players are good enough. There's not enough quality in that side to do the job, to do what they need to be doing and do more. You know what I mean? Use their own heads to do things more. Like I said before, and I think I'm making more sense now than ever, because you have a suit and the suit makes the man or the dress makes the woman. Yeah, it's the system is making the player at the moment, and for me that's not good. That ain't good. You know what I mean? And I think it's just getting to a point where they're so reliant on Ange to give them this inspiration. And let's be honest here, you should know what you want, what you should be doing by now. You know what I mean? You don't need that much time. You really do not need that much time. Yeah. Okay, certain things you've got to grow within the system. Yeah, you need to grow. Yeah, that's fine. But it does. I mean, it's not quite difficult, isn't it? You just need to push push forward and actually use the ball and actually try and run with the ball a little bit as well. You know what I mean? And using wits about you a little bit. You know, because you know how to play football. You should know how to play football with these players now. You know what I mean? They should be at a great level to do that. So I just think for me, it's we're a momentum team at the moment. That's why we struggle. When the momentum's gone, we're gone. We're just completely gone. You know what I mean? And it's only when we get momentum back, that's when we start, you know, we either score or we don't score. If we don't score, forget us scoring. You know what I mean? And that's it. And that's why you're seeing what we're seeing at the moment. We're an up and down team. And that's it for me. That's just my thoughts. You know what I mean? From what I've seen.
So Ash,
yeah,
subs is obviously an issue, right? But I think actually Sonny makes a very good point in when you look at Conte subs. I kind of agree with him about Mourinho, but I do agree with what he said. Mourinho didn't trust his bench, right? So Andrew's probably in the same boat, right, as well, where he's not trusting his bench, right? But at the same time, that performance at the weekend, you're kind of going, just change it. It doesn't matter who's out there. You just got to change what's going on that pitch, right? Because it was literally that bad. But the biggest question that has come from this game, and all three of you have mentioned it, is this front three, right? Why? Like, it's probably been a problem all season, if we're being honest, right? I think every game that we've played, no matter how, and this is the worst thing, we've been on a run of how many games we're scoring, but everyone has said our front three are just not clicking, right? Even in the games we were winning, even when we were 10 games unbeaten, everyone said Kulu on the right just wasn't working. Richarlison up front at one point wasn't working. Sonny up front wasn't working. Werner's now come in. Is he good enough to be playing for Spurs? Johnson right or left, you know. And so obviously Solomon's been missing because he's been injured, unfortunately.
Before we get there, I will answer your question. Everyone's talking about Basuma not being good enough, being lethargic. And I wanted to look at the six because everyone's saying we need a monster six. We need a certain midfielder to give him competition. So I've looked at a player basically that we've been linked with. An Arsenal supporter, Morton Hewland, plays in midfield, can play centre mid, DM, played alongside.
Ash, I'll tell you this now. I'll tell you this now, right? Once that went on social media and Levy has seen that he supports Arsenal, Dill's dead. Dill ain't happening. Dill will never happen.
Yeah, you say that, but obviously we have signed.
Tattoo.
No, he's got a tattoo. This is tattoo. It's not going to happen.
I saw Harry Kane's used to be an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, but none of them have got a tattoo of a big old cannon on their arm.
Yeah, I hear that. But nonetheless, well, football is football. Football is football.
Mate, I'll tell you this now. Levy, the way he acts, will not have him at the club. Will not do it. It's not going to happen. He has an Arsenal tattoo, right? There's no way in hell.
Darren Bent. Someone said in the comments, Darren Bent. I have to part with him every day at work.
But he's not. But again, he hasn't. These are Arsenal fans. These are not Arsenal tattooed fans.
But anyway, but they would have known that once they were doing their research. And
probably not. This is Spurs. This is the same team that didn't.
He only recently wears a vest in training.
Yeah.
Boy.
To be fair, didn't Madison tweet about Bale? I swear, it's even in the current team.
Look, we've had gooners. Don't get me wrong, we've had gooners, but to have a tattoo on your arm, right? I get
it.
There's no way. There was no way he's walking into this club.
I get it, but I'm still going to talk about him, bro. I've done a video, so you could have said that at the end, but thanks.
We're in this analysis.
You know what I'm saying? Bro, there's a time you can say at the end, you know. I was well aware of that, but anyway. Thanks. He plays in a 3-4-3. I thought like it's pointless. You know who else did this? They did this to me the other day. I was so pissed. I was like, bro, let me say the analysis, then shut it out. Anyway, 3-4-3.
Hey, mate, what you got to do now is persuade everyone that we need this guy, no matter if he's Arsenal or not.
We don't need that. We don't need this guy. We don't. We actually don't need this guy. But
singing North London forever before the game.
But they've scouted him.
They have scouted him, but like this is what people want. They want a monster number 6, and so this is the monster number 6 that people identified. So in terms of defending, he's someone that's front-footed and defending, reads the game, is good in position, He knows where to be to pick that ball. So he's got a decent football IQ. You need that to be able to intercept and find these players and find these positions to pick up the ball. And the thing is, when he picks up that ball, he plays that ball forward really quickly. So it's not like he just wins the ball and then he keeps it simple. He's actually trying to get to the attacking players straight away. He's not afraid to go to ground either. He's quite physical. Yeah, he's a 1v1. He's really good. Helps his teammates out. Creates overloads in terms of defensive awareness. He's not afraid to get his body in the line by taking that shot in there. Good interception there. Wins the ball back. Takes another block. Again in the air, he's there. He's able to win that ball high up. Sliding challenge once again. So again, this is a defensive midfielder that you kind of want. Someone that wins it high up. It's not like he's just winning it in the defensive third. He's winning it in the attacking third. And he's making our team in the front foot. Similar to what Paulinho does. You know, everyone's raving about Paulinho winning the ball high up. He's doing that. He's blocking. He's getting interceptions. He's getting his foot in the way. And then he's progressing the ball as well on top of it. So, yeah, these are some of the challenges he's getting in. And he again, time and time again, this is what people want. A monster number 6. Someone that could be aggressive, but not pick up too many cards as well. That's one thing I noticed. He's also Danish as well. He's 24. So he's the right age. He's 6'3", so he's got a lot of power in his upper body. And that's the reason why he's so able to win some of these balls in midfield. Again, with his outside of his foot, using his hips to win those challenges. So it's not just going to ground easily, but he's able to read the play and then intercept. The next phase of play, which we'll show in a minute, is going to be his passing range. So here it comes in. I think it's after this bit here. Again, winning the balls back, winning second balls as well, which is important. We're taking the ball out there. It's really composed, but yeah, it's passing. This is what people really want to see. The switches of play, putting us on the front foot, trying to find those attackers, switching the play, opening the pitch up with his diagonal balls, getting that ball, switching it, even making forward passes to kind of create goal scoring opportunities. And again, just constantly getting those important, good technique on the ball as well. The way he can slice it, good chip of the ball, uses the inside step of his ball, uses the laces sometimes to dink it over the top. And players like Son's always waiting for that ball in behind. I've seen people complain about Werner. Werner's always on, but we can't find him. Johnson sometimes in space. This guy's going to be able to find that forward pass and put us on the front foot. Sometimes from our own half, and then sometimes from the attacking half as well. And it's not just switches of play. He likes to do those dink balls over the top, and that's what we want to see. That's what's going to start attacks as well. And it's different to what we have. We've got quite a few ball players that carry the ball. They like to dribble with the possession. That's not really his game. His game is getting on the ball, being an anchor man almost. And you can see here he's got a good cross on him, so he's able to find a player and create a goal in that one. First time pass, that's what you want to see. You used to see that from Kane when he was in that position. Almost hit that ball on a volley. Again, step onto the ball, hit the diagonal, and he's got great technique. And that's just something different to what we already have. And it could possibly complement a player like a Bergvall or even a Sarr in midfield. So he'll bring a different option off the bench if we were to go for him. But obviously, he's a massive Arsenal fan. He has got the tat on his arm. I'll go back to Mr. Box Office's point. I don't want a specified 6. I want a player that is just a dope player. Do you know what I mean? You can play any role, because in the positional play, you need to sometimes, if Madison's dropping in a hole, I need you to be able to drop into Madison's position. Or if someone else is dropping in the number 6 position, I need you to play out wide. I need you to play higher up. So I prefer a midfielder that is multifaceted and can do more than one job, but this is technically a good footballer. We just need a player that's technical. You can dribble, that's brave, can switch the play like that guy, and can tackle. Why can't we have it all? Why not?
You just want players that can just fill into different
Exactly.
positions. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Be more adaptable.
Well, everyone wants, and the reason why, just to back up your point, the reason why I was so gone home trying to get that video out is because everyone's like, we need a monster 6. We need a specified position. We're lacking a 6. But I don't think Ange wants that. That's the reason why he's gone for a Gallagher, because Gallagher has played as a 6 for Chelsea, an 8, and he's played for the 10. Not that I want Gallagher, but I kind of understand the type of player he's going for, someone that can. I prefer Edison over Gallagher. By the way.
Can I ask a question about that though? If we look at the teams that have won stuff, they always seem to have a monster number 6.
I don't think Rodri is a monster number 6. I think Rodri is a great player.
But he's but what we're saying, like, let's be completely honest about it. Rodri is that sort of player that will clean up in front of your defense, right? Whether you want to call it a 6 or not, but Rodri can't play the 8. I know, he can't. He's a DM. Let's go back to old fashioned ways because I hate numbers. Old fashioned DM.
I don't think
we don't have, like, if you look at the teams that have won stuff in the past, they have proper DMs, right? Everyone will always talk about Vieira, the Keanes of this world, right? But let's take Leicester when they won the league. Who was that DM when Chelsea won the league? That was N'Golo Kante.
Oh, I think football's changed. I same way, like when Mourinho came,
has it? Because look at Man City right now, right? Man City, you were saying football changed, but Man City
are in transition, in my opinion. I don't.
But they've still. Rodri's got that. Rodri has literally got that thing where he hasn't lost since the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and
I think 3 games. Rodri's more box to box than you think. He doesn't sit like an anchor.
He progresses. He progresses the ball more.
He progresses the
Does that mean you're a DM because he progressed the ball? And do you know what I'm trying to say? I think he's more.
But Bentancur does that. But Bentancur's not good at covering.
Why then have they put Bernardo Silva in a DM role? Why did they put? Why did they invert their defenders and play them as a double pivot at times and allow Rodri a bit more freedom and put players alongside Rodri to stop?
The same with Voltaire as well. He's put Jorginho in there to complement Rice more so he can go further forward. I feel like that's what they're doing.
Absolutely agree with you, Sonny, because I've been really impressed with Jorginho, to be honest with you.
Jorginho's
cooking.
He's a deep line playmaker. Jorginho's a deep line playmaker. But I think if you look at Partey, is Partey just a monster number 6? I think Partey is more of a midfielder that's more multifaceted. And I think if Partey was playing fit, if he was fit, I don't think Jorginho would have been there. I think it would have been Partey and Rice, in my opinion. Not taken away from what Jorginho does and how important he is into that system. I'm just saying, and from what I see, Ange was going for Gallagher. Why is he going for Gallagher? Because he wants that kind of multifaceted midfielder that can kind of play like if Madison drops in.
But you look at Gallagher, right? And he's nowhere. Like, I get what you're saying, but he's nowhere. When you look at it, the DM role,
making a point.
But when you look at the DM role, right? Yes, they've got to be able to progress the ball forward and everything like that. But the main part is that Rice and Rodri will be cleaning up and making sure that defense is protected. That is the number one thing. The fact that Rice, they always said at West Ham, right? West Ham, they didn't realize. They did realize because they knew him in training, but they said that he was so good. One thing, he was one of the best players at taking the ball forward, but we just didn't get to see that in a West Ham shirt. So that's why we've now seen it more at Arsenal because they're more attacking with their play.
Yeah, he doesn't sit. Rice doesn't sit. Rice
so they don't sit. But but what we're saying, the problem with Basuma right now, the problem with Basuma right now is that he's not pressing and he's not doing that defensive. Like, he's doing the other bit.
His defensive numbers are still the same, but what he's not doing, he's not being brave. He's not being front-footed. He's not carrying the ball as much. Yeah. He's not dropping the shoulder, and that's where people are getting onto him. He looks lethargic. He doesn't look the same. Blah 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 blah. Because the Basuma of the first 10 games, if you see the amount of times he was in the box, it was crazy, and that's the reason why we're like, he's better than a Rice. Rice is a bit more. He's not progressive. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas Basuma was a ball carrier, a dribbler. He was more than
risk taking that he stopped.
But because he's lost that bravery, and we're not seeing those carries and we're not seeing those dribbles, all of a sudden you've lost Basuma because that was his biggest asset of his game. That's my only point.
Could we have to? Oh, sorry.
I was
going to say, have we got the solution already at the club? Because say we wanted to do the Arsenal technique of a deep line playmaker, could Bentancur not be that 6? Or I'm thinking, who's the best midfielder at defensively progressing the ball and transitioning? What about Sarr? Surely Sarr could be given a game there, and then maybe try Basuma in an 8, because that seems like these teams. I think, but then that goes probably to Mr. Box Office's point.
Yep.
Are these midfielders versatile enough to play the 8 as well, or are they just sort of set in their ways? Yeah. I feel like there's an opportunity to try and experiment with that.
I'm disappointed he hasn't tried Romero in the 6.
I've heard that as well.
I'm disappointed he hasn't tried something different, because at the end of the day, why not try it? I think it's. I mean, obviously he doesn't see it, but I do think there are you can try and use somebody in our team to try and do that, but maybe we haven't got the footballers to do that at the
It's the
moment.
lack
That's
of
why I
centre
think
backs. I
Gallagher,
think it's the lack of
exactly.
centre back, because if he gets injured, then we're buggered, aren't we? In that
Exactly, and I
position.
think Gallagher. I see the point because you saw on your rival show, Ashmatic, you had that Chelsea fan, and you said, you know what he says about Gallagher. He says he's really good. He's not great, but he works so hard.
Box to box, but not good in either box. That's
Yeah,
what
no,
it is.
he works so hard. You know, he's the
100% that's
hardest working player in the Chelsea team at the moment. Yeah, but I mean, you know, that's why I think Ange might like him. You know what I mean? In my opinion, I don't think we should touch him because the fact is, him playing at his best at the moment. Chelsea are where are they at the moment?
11th.
Probably 15th, isn't it?
Exactly. Don't need to say anymore, isn't it? You know what I mean? Yeah, even though in the cup, it's still in the
He's
FA
their best.
Cup.
He's their best midfielder next to two £100 million boys. So
Yeah.
what's that saying?
I know, no. So that's what I'm saying. So I don't know at the moment, but I'm just thinking at the moment, I think we do have to. I mean, you don't have to get somebody in because look at Newcastle. They put Joe Linton there, and he's one of their best players. You know what I mean? So it's like I just think again, it's like FIFA again with these people saying, "Oh, we need another month on number 6. We need this. We need this. We need this." Well, sometimes it's quite
I'll
impressive.
tell you what, though. On that point, I would take Bruno Guimaraes because they're in FFP situation. Everyone's saying they want Isaac. I would take Bruno Guimaraes.
Yeah, but they want a
Yeah.
but they want a lot of money for Guimaraes, and it's going to be a Saudi offer.
How many FFP players are we going to do? We got done Everton over
Why are we saving
Richarlison,
these
Brennan
funds
Johnson
for?
with Forest. No, we're not. We're ruining them.
Ruining them, not saving them. We're bad enough as it is.
FFP champions, I'm told. Anyway, oh gosh, don't get me started.
But before we digress, there was a big question, which is the front three, yeah. And I'm gonna start with you, Sonny, right? Because I'm gonna talk. Let's talk about Son. Yeah,
My name's
a lot of saying right that Sonny should be moved out to the left. Some people saying he should be playing up top, right? But when you get games like Saturday night, where sometimes he will get exposed in that position because of the way the defense are, because we just couldn't exploit it. Where are you on the Sonny situation?
The thing is, I think he's one of those players who is versatile enough to do both positions. We've seen him do really well through the middle, like against Arsenal, and Richarlison was on the left. But then I think him playing on the left also complemented Richarlison and improved his game. And I still believe his best game of the season was against Newcastle, where he was going at Kieran Trippier and being a bit more creative. You know, he is sacrificing goals playing on the left. But I mean, I had this debate on We Are Tottenham TV earlier, and they're saying, "Oh, an Ange winger is meant to be just pinned out on the side." But what I'm seeing from our wingers is not that. I'm seeing Kulusevski cut in. I'm seeing Brennan Johnson cut in. Son's so good at cutting in and whipping one in. We saw against Leicester last year. He just is so good at that. I still think Son can be as good on the left, but people will say he's lost his pace. He's not the same player he once was. He's getting on, all that sort of stuff. But I still think at the moment, if Richarlison, I know he's been injured again, if he's still in that purple patch, we might as well be playing him up top and Son on the left, I think. And then the right wing is up for grabs, whether that's Kulusevski, Johnson or whoever. I do like something through the middle, but there is examples like Fulham, West Ham, the low block teams where Son's not good with his back to goal. He's not good at like having a defender on his back at all. He's not good aerially. So that's when you do switch it up. And I think against Fulham, when you've got some, big centre-backs in there like Tosin and Bassi, maybe it was time to switch up a little bit. But then again, Richarlison wasn't fully fit. So who is there to play in the middle? Valise is on loan. So maybe Ange had his sort of hands tied with that one.
Alex, box office. I'm giving you Kulu.
I mean, honestly, you might as well be a right back. Honestly, he's absolutely useless. I'm sorry. I was told that he was it outstanding? He's the what is it against Nottingham Forest? Outstanding. He did two things. He did two things in that game. You know what I mean? Honestly, I've never heard such absolute waffle in my whole entire life. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, just like. I mean, you see the winger for Wolves, even though he's injured. I mean, he's better than him all day long. You know what I mean? Matoma, even though Matoma's not having a great season this season. I mean, he gets past his man. You know what I mean? It's just again, it's over the top. I mean, the whole thing about what he said in the letter. I'm not going to go on about personally. I get what he said. Yeah, I'm not going to go into that. That's personal. But when you say what you're saying in some of that little part about, oh, we've achieved something, he's talking like we've achieved something, won a trophy. Honestly, where are we going with this? Honestly, it's just like I just think there's just so much better players out there. He can't touch Bell, he can't touch Ginola, he can't touch so many players. You know what I mean? I'll take even Robbie Keane. You know what I mean? It's just like honestly,
That's
he's
that's
just
blasphemy.
so...
I'm a massive Robbie Keane fan. I'm not having and Robbie Keane.
Yeah.
Say
No.
that.
Robbie Keane was good. Robbie Keane was good. Robbie Keane was
Yeah,
good. I'm
yeah,
hating him.
you retract because I'll be coming at you too, isn't it?
Robbie Keane was quality. Robbie Keane was quality, Sonny. I'm not having a go at him. You know what I mean? But it's just like,
You take it back now at 40.
yeah. But so I mean, I know. I just think at the moment he's just not doing enough. And again, he's just
But
too
then
one-dimensional.
he's running though. Don't you think he does work his socks off though? He does run the
yeah,
channel.
but that's
though.
a right back, Sonny. I'm sorry, no.
Is that but Sonny,
No, that should
is
be
that the whole
should be
Gallagher situation?
given. That should be given being a Tottenham player. Just give it effort. You might as well just get Gallagher there, bro. You know what I mean? Put Gallagher there.
But then
And
do we
give
play
him
him
a
in the
blue piano
midfield then?
saying, well done for your hard work, mate. Well done, well done, well done. You know what I mean? I want goals, bro. You know what I mean? You know?
Yeah, I think he's been quite like 6 goals, 3 assists. I think that's not bad.
Bro,
for a
sorry, bro. The only thing I think, the stat, right, with him creating stuff, and the only reason why I bring that up is because Modric had the same numbers, yeah, when he was at Tottenham, right? And look who's he's serving. Below average Emeril Heskey, aka Richarlison, yeah, yeah. Below average Kevin Doyle, Timo Werner. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's it. You know, and like I say, and then you've got, Solomon, who's non-existent, because now everyone's saying, "Oh, Solomon's going to be back. Solomon's going to be back." He's turned into a great player because he's injured. You know what I mean? You know, and that's it. You know, so it's just like I'm just waiting for Jay to make excuses for this. By the way, because Jay's going to start making excuses for these strikers, saying they're really, really good. So I'm waiting for that excuse yet. But the point I'm making is that it's just I just don't see the point. You know what I mean? Like I say, I just think the only thing I think is rate is Son, but I don't rate him as a captain. I'm sorry, do not rate him as a captain at all. I think Macario is a much better captain than him all day long. I see this guy shouting at players, taking them on, saying, "What you doing?" That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Sorry, that was Mr. Box Office Unleashing. Sorry, back to you, Marlon. I'm done.
Jay, I want to bring you in on the front three before I bring on Ash on the last play. But Johnson, like we're looking at the front three, and it seems there's always seems to be an issue with the front three all season. Even in games we're winning, everyone always has a problem. If it's not with Johnson, it's with Werner. If it's not with Werner, it's with Kulu. If it's with Kulu, it's Sonny on the left or Sonny up top. What are you making of Brennan Johnson right now?
I mean, the thing about like when you have young players is they need to develop. You know, it's just the way it is. I mean, I don't mind critically assessing people's performances, but I'm not the sort of person that looks for narratives or looks specifically to put it on it. Johnson's been in pretty good form from an output point of view. It's a tricky one because obviously we can always judge a player on what he's not doing or what we would like the player to be doing. I think I just think he's having a decent first season. Not great, not terrible, decent. His output is solid. You know, he's been a match winner. He's got crucial assists and stuff, but I think everyone can tell that he's not giving us quite what we'd want on an ongoing basis. But you know, that's just development of a player and stuff. You know, you have to see how the player does. He's played right wing, left wing. You know, there's certain aspects of his skill set that makes me think that at the moment, certain things like his shot selection, shot power, things like that, they're not completely there yet. those things kind of take time. It kind of almost reminds me a little bit of Martinelli, actually. When I was seeing Martinelli develop at Arsenal, kind of I could see the skills that he had and attributes, but he hadn't quite put it completely together. So yeah, I mean, I'm not.
Question,
James. I mean, I don't know. It's a tricky one because obviously, like, I don't think anyone was good at the weekend, really.
Do you think though? Because the one gripe I do have with him, and I've not been actually that critical of Brendan Johnson this year. I've been like you. I've been patient. But the biggest critical thing I have on him is his dribbling. How many times he gets the ball, dribbles it, and it goes out of play is unbelievable.
Yeah, but I think the thing is that that's almost
and the reason why I asked that is because you just said Martinelli. Martinelli just couldn't finish, but he was good at dribbling.
No, Martinelli was a chaos merchant too.
Yeah, like, he was chaos. But Johnson is not. When Johnson with his dribbling, it's too many times in games where Johnson's getting the ball, he's trying to, and it's literally going out for a throw on. It's too many times. Yeah, it's happening in games where we're winning.
It's miscontrols happen. I'm not. I get what you're saying
in every game.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I don't really know what. Like, as Danny's just like, I've seen Danny the numbers have got. Well, what do you want the numbers to be bad? I don't know why that's not a defense for a player. Like, his numbers are better than a number of other higher. There's players that the fan base want who have lower numbers. The fan base scream for Doku. Are people impressed with Doku's debut season? Are people saying that Doku's had a great season and we massively missed out?
City players just don't get slated. But like, look at Calvin Phillips, look at Nunes, look at Kovacic. They just don't get judged the same, do they? Because it's City.
My thing is like, listen, my observations in football, because Danny's like, Jay doesn't.
I bring up the comments.
Because it's funny for me because the thing is like, automatically when someone disagrees with your opinion, it's just like a disagreement of your opinion. We perceive football in different ways. What I value, what I look for is different to other people. So you cannot then tell me to look at football through your eyes because I don't see football through your eyes. So with a Brennan Johnson, there's lots of things that Brennan Johnson can improve on. Lots of things that Kulusevski could improve on. Lots of things that Werner could improve on. Lots of things that Solomon could improve on. It's almost as if the players that we've got are between the ages of 21 to 23, and they're not the finished product, you know? So it's one of those things. I'm not. We've spent £50 million on this player. Look at the data. Yeah. Danny wants to say, "Oh, I want to make excuses." I'll look at the data. In the summer, Atletico Madrid wanted this player. Brentford wanted this player. Chelsea wanted this player. So Tottenham wanted this player.
Can I just argue the Atletico Madrid issue? Yeah,
they wanted the. I'm not saying they were gonna. I'm not saying they're gonna buy the player. They wanted the player. That is a statement of fact. That cannot be denied.
They're going to pay more as well. So.
Yeah, that cannot be denied.
But they haven't paid more than like the quotation from what Forrest was saying. It's been debunked because actually, when you look at Atletico's signings over, because they're in financial trouble, have not signed a player for more than 25 or 30 million in the last 2 or 3 seasons.
Exactly. So is that not even more hype for Brennan? The fact that they were potentially willing to spend that money when they haven't spent that money. So what is it that all these different people are seeing in this player? Yeah. So why are all these teams seeing something in this player?
Very true.
Yeah. So clearly there's something there. Whether people want to see it or not, there's something that's coming up in the data. There's something that when they go and watch it with their scouts, they look at this player and they say, yeah, let's spend 40, 50 million on this guy. He's going right to the top. So that's the way I see it. I'm like, I'm obviously we can look at the player and say what he's not doing, like he's losing duels, he's not intense, this and that. You know, I'm not expecting the finished article with these players, you know, and everything that people are saying, you know, to an extent is valid criticism. It's not, but it's just what do you want someone to say? Like, do you know what I mean? As in, he's working on it. The players are developing. We'll see a better version of him in time.
Can I make a quick
Ash,
point? if
Go on,
that's
go
all
on,
right?
Sonny. Go on, Sonny. Jump in.
I was just thinking when Jay was making his points there about the front line,
Yeah.
we got to take in consideration this was a team, or this is a team that has had just Son and Kane scoring all the goals and making all the goals for the last couple of years. And I'm just looking at the numbers there. Like Johnson has got 4 goals, 6 assists. Madison's got 4 goals, 8 assists. What's this? Kulusevski 6 and 3. You got Richarlison 10 and 3. Son 14 and 8. And then Werner's got 2 and 2. So we are spreading the goals around. And I know this is, and we're making more chances, we're scoring more goals. So that might be, if you compare it to like Kane scoring 30 goals in a Conte system, that looks incredible on his part. But I do think this whole forward line thing sometimes is like just after one game, may be a bit blown out of proportion. I know maybe we still haven't found out what the perfect front line is, but I still think there is good enough evidence there to suggest that it's not.
Sonny, I've said it all season. Sonny, I've said it all season. I've been watching him. I've been going to the stadium every single time. I've seen this myself, right? And I'm sorry, I can't agree with that at all. I'm sorry, because the thing is, though, if these players were playing for other teams, this is why he was talking absolute waffle, Jay, by the way, right? Because the thing is, though, it's just, again, saying the same thing, saying the numbers look good, right?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Okay, listen. The thing is like, no, hold on. It's listen. No.
So the main event speaking.
No.
The main event speaking. The main event is speaking.
Listen, where have you been all these few weeks?
No. The main event speaking, bro.
Get hold of you.
I'm gonna let you go on about whatever you go on about. It's boring.
Jay. Yeah, we'll let you.
One at a time.
I'm gonna mute and go off camera for a second, but yeah.
Go on.
I don't know where that came from anyway, because I don't think it's boring at all. I'm just telling you the facts. The fact is, when I look at the thing, when I'm looking at it, when I watch the team, right? These players are not. It hasn't been great. You know what I mean? We do it in spells, in spots. That's what I'm saying at the moment. You know what I mean? So, in my opinion, right, by what you just said, right, they're going to get better. Well, if they can't, you don't know if they get better. You don't know.
Yeah, but we don't know if they're going to stay at the level they are.
Exactly. So this is the thing. So based on what? Are these players going to get better? Based on what? You know what I mean?
A manager who can invest in younger players, unlike Conte, who doesn't like youngsters. Mourinho didn't like youngsters.
But the point is, Sonny, though, look at those managers. They need equality. That's what they wanted. Yeah, I didn't like those managers.
But they weren't here for the long term. Unlike Ange, who is.
It's not based. It's based on because they needed players that were elite, that they fit in their system straight away because they are winners. They want to win now, right? At the moment, I'm looking at the players now. We can look at the numbers. That's fine. But the thing is, though, when you look at them, when you see these assists that they're making, it isn't great, and against not great teams. I mean, I think Stelios put up a fact sheet about the teams that they've scored against, and most of them are the lower teams. The only players that they've scored, the only teams that they've scored, the only top players that have scored
what's in front of you.
Surely, I understand what you're saying.
I want to hear what Jay's got to say. Jay, you still there?
Yeah. I'm just listening.
What's your rebuttal?
my rebuttal is really simply. Yeah, I hate it when people judge things in isolation. Yeah, you have to judge things in context. Yeah, so judge our wingers against the rest of the wingers in the league. Yeah, don't just judge them in your own vacuum of what you think a winger should be doing. Judge them against all the other wingers in the league. And now let's start making, how are our wingers doing in comparison with the other wingers in the league? How are they performing? What is our approach to these development of wingers? We all know we need a top winger, okay? So we all know we're going to spend 50 million plus on a winger this summer. It looks like, from the rumors, from the scheduling. So between now and the summer, what do you want me to do? Bitch about the players every week? You know what I know. We all see the same stuff. We all know we're going to buy a top winger. Yeah. So you're looking at Johnson now. People are saying, okay, I don't like the player. Okay, cool. I don't rate the player. Okay, cool. I think the player is a good player. Has he shown his best side? No. Do I think he's going to be a great asset for Tottenham? Yes. Now, the whole point of buying players who are 22, 23 is that they're going to develop. That is literally the whole point of doing it. You are backing your scouts to pick the right players who are going to develop. So that's what we're doing, Mr. Box Office. You can't say, how do I know the players are going to improve? I don't. That's what their job's for. That is literally why we pay scouts, for them to be able to judge people's ability, judge their potential ability, and for us to make speculative financial gambles on these players with the view of hitting it big. Yeah, that's what I'm assuming we're trying to do here. So if you don't like the player and you don't think the player is good enough for Tottenham, and I do like the player and I do think the player is good enough for Tottenham, do you want to know what the only thing that's going to solve that question is? Time. It's the only thing.
I don't know why you say that, because I've just said that time anyway. But I just said I don't know where you coming in with that energy, bro. My point is, yeah, I've said the same thing as you, time. But I'd still say quality. It tells. You know what I mean? It tells the fact that they haven't got the quality at the moment.
Who says you've got the eye for quality?
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. You keep on interrupting me. That's the problem. You've got this attitude now that you, for some reason or another. The point is, yeah. Okay. The point, because you've got this attitude, and it's
what's my attitude?
What's my attitude? Carry on, go on.
What's my attitude?
No. My point is.
Keep to the point. Keep to the point.
No. I don't mind, because it's my attitude. I'm like, you said Jay's waffling. I even said your name, bro. If you just say my name to be relevant, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
What's your point? What's your
My point is, yeah, is that the players at the moment don't look like they've got the quality to finish at the moment. The only person that's got it at the moment is Son, right? They need confidence, right? For me, if you've got the arrogance to be a top player, right, you don't need confidence, because you've got it in abundance, right? And that's my argument at the moment. Okay, time doesn't wait for no man. Yeah, if we're doing the same thing that Newcastle are doing next season, Angie's in trouble next season, right? But just by debating, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, because we know what our owners are like. We know what we're like every single time. I'm sorry, yeah, and I'm not being proven wrong, because I can see the history, and that's what I base myself on, history.
Wait,
yeah?
go on.
So that's what I'm saying at the moment. If you're going to bet on these players to do the job or do the best that they can at the moment, I'm sorry, I've got doubts on it, and that's it. I agree. Johnson needs time. I'm not going in at Johnson, but what I hear, the ridiculous thing I hear, he scores two goals, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm wrong about Johnson. What? Again, going over the top again. Werner scores two goals. Werner scores 2 goals.
It goes both ways.
He scores 2 goals, and then all of a sudden, we should sign him. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? So this is the point I'm making.
He's done what he was meant. Werner's doing what he was meant to do.
Mr. Box Office is fair. I'm not saying that you have to like the player. I'm just merely saying that I always think it's a little bit pointed. You know, when someone's like, "Tell me about this player," after we all know they've had a bad performance. We all know they've had a bad performance. You know what I mean? It's a difficult one for me to position. He played badly. Do you want me to critically assess his performance and what I thought he did badly? Or is it like, say, what do you mean? So Danny's saying, judge it on an, okay, let's look at it like this, right? So United are playing.
One second, Jay. Before you answer this, Sonny, I want you to come in on this next as well, because you had a slight opinion on this. After Jay spoken, I want you to come in on this as well. So go on, Jay.
So this is what I'm saying. I'm always saying. So let's say top 7. Are we going top 7 traditional or top 7? I'll go top 7 traditional. Yeah. So I'll do top 6 plus Newcastle. Yeah. Okay.
I'm wondering if he means Villa, because their wingers are.
He might mean Villa.
Leon Bailey and Diaby. That's what he's probably looking at.
Okay. So Mudryk, Noni Madueke, Sterling, Cole Palmer. So Cole Palmer is the only player out of those 4 players who's had a better season than Johnson so far. Yeah. That's fair.
Fair point.
He's top 7 right now.
So in theory, he would play for Chelsea. So that's one team down. Okay. United, they're playing Garnacho, Rashford. Half this season, I've heard the fan base insulting Rashford.
Anthony.
Ahmad's getting minutes. Anthony was starting, but he got benched. I think Johnson would get a lot of minutes in Man United, to be fair. But That's my personal opinion. You can differ. So that's 2 rivals that Brennan Johnson will be playing.
West Ham is the other number. He said top 7 right now. So West Ham are 7th. So you've done Man United, West Ham.
Oh, we didn't. I'm obviously gonna. So okay, we'll do West Ham then. Would he start for West Ham? Probably not, but because they've got Bowen
and
Kudus. So I'd probably say probably not. But then he might start, and they might play Bowen up top. Do you know what I mean? As in they could play him, but I'm not saying he'd definitely be in the mix. He'd get minutes there. He wouldn't just be on the bench and they'd never play him. You then move over to
should we be cheeky? He's up. Spurs are in the top 7, so there's
Spurs are in the top 7, and he plays for us. Done. Yeah,
I'm only playing, Daddy. I'm only playing.
The only argument I have is that the season's not been that great this season, and I don't think those players are really a barometer to really
that's the comparison with this season. These are the players we're comparing.
Yeah, we're comparing it to now.
He makes a good point, but I don't think you can base it on these players this season because I don't think this league has been that great this season.
It's been a competitive season, I think.
It's been a competitive season, Alex.
But I can hear. I'm actually being fair to him. Actually being fair to him.
This is the nicest you've been to me for a while.
This is fair to him because when you got an ego like that, you're gonna get it back from Mr. Boxoff.
Is that Spider-Man?
Sonny. I actually like you, Sonny.
You're not talking about me about that ego, Mr. Boxoff.
Yeah, we've got a league. We know how we play. We know how we play.
Okay. Now we've broken bread. My point remains, yeah.
Broken bread.
That's my point. As in, we've broken it down now, and Johnson would start for a number of teams in the top 7. So therefore, he would start for our rivals. So that point to me is redundant. Yeah, it's a redundant point. Like, he would start for our rivals, and not only would he start for our rivals, he'd be one of the better wingers for our rivals based on this season's performance.
Sonny?
The only thing I was going to say to maybe support this argument is we live in this era where the modern wingers got to be getting goals and assists week in, week out. Look at Salah, look at Saka now. Even Saka's critiqued and not like people say, is he world class? And then I'm just thinking, who's a good Premier League winger of all time? Ryan Giggs. And I've just looked at his record. He averaged 0.17 goals per game. So it's like shown how that winger game has changed. So, Brennan Johnson had an amazing season last year for Nottingham Forest, but he didn't get amazing goal numbers. But you can tell he's one of those players who can be moulded because he's at that perfect age to become a potential, not world-class winger, but he could become a great winger for Tottenham. And I just think that the modern winger is just expected to be like Salah, like Vinicius Junior, like whoever. They've got to be getting 2 a brace every week or a couple of assists. Like Son, for example. Son is in that bracket, you could say, like Salah or whoever. But yeah, I think it's an interesting debate, especially. I think Johnson has been. If you were to line up all the players and say who's had who's at the lower end of the season for Spurs, like good to bad, he probably is nearer that end. But just because he's probably played more minutes than he expected to, I think he has. I feel like he was more going to be a bench option, but due to injuries, he's probably played more minutes. But I do actually think he's been okay. I feel like at the end of the day, this is his first season, and we got to judge it next year. I think more for someone like Johnson.
Sonny, I'm an old school fan, yeah, from the 90s, yeah. When I judge players, I judge it from those sort of players then. You know what I mean? I don't rate the players now. I think the managers are making them look good because of the systems now. I don't think you get the individual, class players that, the Mavericks or anything like that. That's what I judge at the moment. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm not this stat guy because I don't play FIFA. I'm not that guy. So this is the thing. This is the thing that I'm battling with because I used to judge. I used to rate averageness. Winks, Davis, Sanchez, all those players. I learnt my lesson. Yeah. And I had to apologise to someone that very, very well because I was arguing through lockdown. Irish Hotspur, David Harris. I had to apologise to him because he was telling me about these players. Yeah? So I'm not going to do it now. I'm not going to do it now when I had to apologise to him. Big up to him, by the way, because I love him. Even though he's my nemesis, I still love him. You know what I mean? He'll like me saying that, by the way. He knows what I'm talking about. But that's why I'm not. I see. This is why I say I need convincing still. Yeah, I'm skeptical. I'm not being overreactive. No, I've been
No,
skeptical
I get
on
that.
certain
I get
things,
that.
and I know Johnson's going to needs time. I know these players need time, but my doubt is you're doing this right now. Can you do better next season? I've got my
That's
doubts. And
okay.
that gets you to the top. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
And that's where my doubts is at the moment. And I think I know as a
So
fan, and that's it. And
just
that's what I'm saying.
just one thing quickly, right? I just looked up Martinelli's stats against Johnson because I know Martinelli, everyone, as I think Jay might have said chaos earlier, right? So him and Johnson have played exactly the same amount of games this season, right? Martinelli, this is Premier League only. Martinelli has 6 goals. Johnson has 4. Martinelli has 4 assists. Johnson has 6. Funny enough, Spurs haven't kept a clean sheet with Johnson in the team. But Arsenal have only kept 1 with Martinelli, right? And this is coming from the best defense, this season. So it's relatively quite similar, and yet we're moaning about Johnson.
Then
But
I wouldn't say Martinelli's had the best of seasons.
Best
Like
of seasons either, but not-
Trossard has been better than him, isn't he? Really?
Yeah, he has. So it's just a comparison in that sense, but it's just a case of it's not as bad as we're all making it out to be. But the guy I really wanted to get onto, right, and I think this is probably going to cause the most debate, is obviously we spoke about the front three and the chances they missed, but is Timo Werner. He's now said, he's come out this week, right, and he's saying that he's happy to stay at Tottenham Hotspur, right, and wants to join the club. Now, what I'm seeing, I'm going to say all over socials, over YouTube, everywhere, this man has split the fan base completely. Ash, you start.
It's just quite simple. And I'll talk about the front three. We're looking at wide forwards, not wingers, in my opinion.
Yep.
I think that's what the difference is. Wide forwards, they run onto the ball. So they're really quick. When the space is in behind, they attack it and they score goals that way. Don't think in this particular system that's been the case, if I'm being totally honest. I think these players have been doing the patterns of play that Andrew's asked them to do. For example, when people call Richarlison a tapping merchant, when people call Johnson a tapping merchant, or even a Werner a tapping merchant, I think that's coming back down to the system. That's nothing to do really with the quality of the player, in my opinion. I think if you want a different style of winger, because I think all of those players, they're quite similar in terms of what type of players they are. I think Spurs need to go for someone slightly different. So if we want to change the game against a low block, we've got players that can actually dribble. And going back to Mr. Box Office's point, in the 90s, you used to have a lot of players that would take their man on. And I heard a fan base saying, oh, they don't rate Johnson because he doesn't take his man on. They don't really like... some people rate Werner for that reason, because Werner is taking his man on and he is helping out defensively. People criticize Johnson because he hasn't been able to get back and help out, so he's quite, they're saying his fitness isn't there, but it's weird because he's a young man, blah, blah, blah. So there's been a debate in that realm. But for me, this is where I sit on it. Ange's come out, and this is probably leading into another question. I don't know if we've got time for it, but Ange's come out and said that he doesn't really want to be in a debate of top 4. He wants to aim higher, and he wants to be going for major honors. From what I'm hearing, from what I'm reading, he wants to go for like titles. He doesn't want to be in his top 4 question. He wants to change the mentality of the club. I think it was Ali Gold that came out and said that, and he's like one of the biggest ITKs in Spurs at the moment. So for me, I'm thinking if we're to get to that next level and take it serious for next season, the chances that Werner's missing, it's no coincidence because he has done that at a previous club. And I don't know if it's down to confidence or, which I think is the latter, it's down to quality. Quality where he just can't get it over the line. Like there's certain things where if he'd scored in that game, let's look at Fulham in isolation. If he scores that goal, then that might change the attitude or the confidence of the players on the pitch. And then all of a sudden we've got like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and we're on the front foot. So it's those moments, and football is about moments, let's face it, because you cannot be playing well, but then you could score those goals, those clutch goals, those important goals, and then all of a sudden you can win a game. And so if we're not playing too well and we need to get over the line, I think that's the difference between us achieving that upper echelon, competing with a Man City, a Liverpool, or an Arsenal, because they somehow find a way to get it done, especially when it comes to players that, why are we so inconsistent? Why are we so up and down? And it's because of those moments when we need quality in the final third. I think that's what separates us from the Fulhams. It separates us from the Brightons, because Fulham and Brighton, in my opinion, they're good teams. But what separates us from them is that the quality up front, we've got that star boy, like as in Sonny. Sonny, he gets you your 13, 14 goals, etc., etc. Do you know what I mean? And I agree, yeah, you can say Ellie Gold is a mouthpiece, but at the end of the day, if he is a mouthpiece for the actual club, then that means the ambition before that was actual top four. Like that was their ambition. And then he's actually proved it. Like, so now if Ant is trying to change that, we just want to get top four and are happy with top four, like he's come in and he's blown up the river. He's blown out the water. He's actually shown them, say, look, bro, this is the club's ambition. They were happy since Harry Redknapp achieved it. They were like, yeah, we want top four. We've never gone on and built off of top four and say, look, now the time like Liverpool did, used it to push on. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So for me, I'm saying the forward line has to be improved. I don't think Werner is an option where we should go for. I think we should go for better and younger, in my opinion. If we go for someone slightly better or slightly younger, like Johnson, at least he's 22. He's got a higher ceiling in terms of like his actual ability and his dribbling ability. I'm not sure. But in terms of like, I've seen him in Nottingham Forest play up front. We haven't seen him play up front for Spurs. Do you know what I'm saying? We haven't played him in his strongest position. Whether that would work for Spurs or not, is the jury's out. I don't know. But I would prefer Johnson to be coming off the bench, creating havoc. Do you know what I mean? And I wouldn't want a Werner who's very similar in skill set to a Johnson. I would someone that is a little bit more, he's got better characteristics in terms of dribbling and shooting and assisting goals, but has an all-around game. Because let's face it, we've seen Johnson have a poor game, but still get an assist. We've seen Werner not be really in the game, but still get a goal. And then if you look on paper and you look at the stats, what? Johnson's got 10 goal contributions. That looks amazing. But how did he play in the overall game? Why did he get dropped? Why is Werner getting dropped? And the argument could be that, it depends on who we're playing. But then the opposite argument could be that maybe the manager thinks something's not quite working with his front three. And some fans could agree with that. Something's not quite right with his front three. So we keep swapping it over. We put Kulu on the right. We've had Johnson on the right. We've had Werner on the left. We've had Son on the left. We've had Richie in the middle. Some people might say that comes down to injuries. It comes down to, like I said, who we're playing. But I just personally think if we're going to break that Liverpool, because I think it's really hard to break that. And I think Man United are going to be back next season. I think Chelsea, they're going to be back. They're not going to wait on their laurels. I think they're going to come back stronger. So I just think Werner, for me, and some people will be like, Ash, what are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. I think we could save that option, not take up that option, and we could possibly go for someone else. And instead of going for, he's a cheap option, why not go for, he's a quality player? That should be our first thing we say. He's a quality player. We must get him in. Not, it's an opportunist signing, because that's what I feel like a lot of these signings, and even down to Richarlison, I felt like we took advantage of Everton. Well, some people would disagree with that. We took advantage of Nottingham Forest. Again, some people would disagree with that. But the point is, they never say like, this player's cooking and we're getting them whilst they're red hot. Like no one was screaming about Johnson. No one was screaming about Richarlison. They were screaming about Rafinha. Do you know what I'm saying? Before the whole Richarlison debate, It was all about Rafinha. Everyone was arguing over Rafinha. Oh, we got
Ash, one little point, just to caveat that is that
go for it.
Why was Rafinha available? Because Leeds got relegated.
So
everything is opportunistic for everybody to an extent.
The difference is Chelsea was in the race, Arsenal was in the race, and so were we. So it wasn't just like it's different.
Who was in that Johnson race again?
And Barcelona as well.
Hey, all I'm saying is I get what you're saying, but on the flip side, could you not argue that because of the Premier League now, with every team having money, it's almost impossible to get a player under contracts of like 3 years, 4 years plus. Transfer fee is just check the Corey. It's 80 million. They were asking for 80 million for check the Corey. That lets you know everything you need to know about if you are a player under contract at a Premier League club and you want to get out, you ain't getting out. Yeah, you better have a release clause or 1 year left. Otherwise, you can't leave your club.
Zaha never got a move because he was just being priced out every time, and then he had to run his contract down and he went to Turkey. So
look at Eze. Do you think Eze's not signed a clause? He must have a clause in that.
But my point is, are we going to be that club? Because how do we burst that top three? This is my point. I'm going back to the whole what Ange is saying. He wants to change the perception, and I just don't believe that Werner is going to take us to that promised land. In my opinion, that's what it comes down to.
Does he replace Brian Hill though? I saw someone say that in the comments. Is he like a better option than? No, but he's a better option than.
Reason is that a good enough reason?
No,
bring him in. In my opinion,
I think for depth he's a better option than what we currently have, and then we get someone. In
but
what did I say about backups?
Yeah, but that's currently have. But when you look at if you go to the summer, the players like Hill and Werner that are taking up a foreign space, right? Could you not think that could go elsewhere to a better player that's going to give us a bit more of a? He's going to be a better winger because this is my problem with Werner, right? Crystal Palace game, he goes through. It could have made it 1-0, right? And he misses that 1-on-1. And this is Werner all over, right? So if Johnson doesn't come on and that sub's not made, we'd probably lose that game 1-0. And actually, we're going to look at that chance. You look at Saturday, right? Johnson misses that. Out of all the chances we had on Saturday, and Ash pointed out earlier, Johnson puts it straight at the keeper, right? These are the problems we're having. But then to get us back in the game, Werner misses an open goal. Considering the goal he scored the week before, he misses an open goal. It was harder, like everyone has said, it was harder to miss, right? And this is the stuff we knew about Werner before. And my problem with that is that if we're going to sign Werner, there's going to be games like that where Fulham on Saturday, where if he makes it 3-1, who knows? But he doesn't.
Scored the fourth goal, though. Marlon, he scored the fourth goal, so there's no pressure on him to score that goal.
No, but this is what I'm saying. But you look at
you know what I mean?
but you look at the Palace situation, and it's not the only one.
And Son scores his 1-on-1.
Yeah, but
that's a difference.
It's not his only chance. The reason why I'm using these two chances is they're going to be fresh in everyone's mind. Right, and the thing with Werner is he's a good player, but if we, like everyone has said, Ange's system relies on these wingers, right? And Jay has said earlier, right, that we need to go out and buy a top winger. Werner, we have to all be completely honest here. If Werner had signed for Manchester United, we'd all be taking the piss.
Bro, I've said this on Mr. Box Office TV. I've said it on every single stream. I get rid to pieces. Everyone have hurt me.
And Sonny, my point is to you: being better than Hill shouldn't be the barometer. What actually should be the barometer?
I'm looking at through the Levy lens of.
But
all the ducks are lined up, aren't they? Like it's 17 million, and instead of having to spend 50 million on two wingers, you spend 17 million.
Well, it doesn't match with.
But does this mean then that Ange can't change the mentality because this is what he's dealing with?
You'd like to hope so, because I feel like Levy has changed partly this season. Like he has taken a step back and he's letting Ange and Johan Lang and Scott Munn do a bit more. But it makes me also think then why did we go for the option of Werner anyway? If we knew Son was going to be back, he came back early anyway. Was there a point of even doing that option? I don't know.
So the bit I do agree with you on is that, and Hill's the only player to come out in this whole year and speak against Ange and say Ange doesn't trust him, this, that, and the other. So I believe that's what he's coming for. He's actually coming to be the extra winger. But if we're looking at signing someone like Werner next season, like you said, for me, it's a very Daniel Levy-esque signing.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't, if we are trying to make strides forward, like we said, he's 20, he's 27 going on 28, right? And he can't finish.
I think
he just can't finish.
I think Antonio Nusa as well was a bit of a spanner in the works, because I feel like the club really wanted him. But I'm just thinking, I've seen a lot of Spurs fans going, go get Nico Williams, go get Santiago Jimenez, like all these names, and I'm still thinking I can't see it happening. I can see Timo Werner holding a new shirt up in the summer, and that's not me wanting it. That's me thinking and seeing it.
I see what you're saying, Sonny.
I agree. I agree.
No, Sonny, I
what
actually
you're saying,
agree.
Sonny. But the problem is, yeah, right. This is why I'm saying I'm skeptical about Ange. Yeah, he's gonna go. He will leave. Right, he will get fed up and say, you know what, I've had enough of this. Bye bye. I can see it because he's his own man. He looks like his own man. Yeah, he don't need this. He can just say, well, other teams want me. Bye bye. You know what I mean? Because he wants to win the league.
His average stay is 2.5 years.
And there's no like. And the thing is, though, it's like not. I'm not surprised what he said. What I've heard. Right? Oh, you're trying to convince him to get not. This top four is not enough. Yeah, and he's struggling to do that at the moment. So that's the mentality at the moment. That's why I'm saying nothing's changed.
Do you agree with what he said with the whole prize stuff? Do you agree with what he said in that regard? That we need to think that top four isn't the be all and end all.
I agree with him. I know that because he's his own man. He wants to win.
Do you think that, just a question on that? Do you think he's come out and said that because the pressure it had on the players will have more, like every year when we put pressure on the players to try and finish top four? Let's take last year, right? We were in the same situation. The pressure was on. Conte comes out of his rant. We foul, right? Again, this year, right? We've done exactly what we need to do against Villa, but the week after, mentality crashes and we come crashing down in a big bang against Fulham. So do you think he's trying to take that pressure off of them to see if they perform a lot better? But actually, he knows deep down, top four is the aim.
But then there was more pressure in the Villa game, I'd say. And then, I know maybe the first half was a bit stale and Villa did change their tactic.
But it was a case of, But it was a case of against Villa, we were chasing. With this, we were trying to maintain and we're in the driving seat. So is it that what's the breakdown is when we're in the driving seat, a bit like Arsenal last year with the title race, when they're in the driving seat, they just
I still think, and I think a lot of people might have a go at me here. I still think a lot of these players have still got a hangover for the last couple of years. Like, I know the squad has changed a little bit, but I still think there is some mentally weak characters in there. Those ones need to be moved on. And the ones that have got some quality need to have a proper arm around them, I'd say.
But one thing I wanted to just point out is that, like, I run a recruitment company, right? And I like to think I'm a pretty good judge of character. Yeah, I like to understand, like, body language, tone. You said about personality, yeah? So there's 3 people in the squad, yeah? 3 people in the squad whose personalities I don't question, but I'm like, we'll see. Over the next year, we'll see what they're made of. And those people are James Madison, Yves Bizuma, and Richarlison.
I knew he was going to bring up Richie.
You know what? That's a good point there.
And the reason why I'm saying this is one was when Richie said that thing about what he said to Conte. I remember thinking, fans are letting it slide because Conte, they let it slide.
Exactly.
I promise you, if Brian Gill went up to Ange and said, mate, your mate in Spanish. Yeah. I don't know. In Spanish, yeah. Your tactics are shit. Yeah. And I'm not playing. Do you not think that they would march into the dressing room themselves and drag Brian Gill out? The fan base would go absolutely
Beatles hair.
Because everyone loves Ange. Everyone loves Ange. That's the thing. They'll jump for him because that's it. Because it's Conte, No, we don't like him, but these people loved Conte before, though, that were twerking for top four, though. You know what I mean? Twerking for top four, though. Sorry, Sonny. I know you do talk sport, yeah. I'm sorry about this, yeah, but unfortunately, I've got no filter. This is Mr. Box Office, yeah. That's why I'm the ratings killer. You know what I mean? So if you don't know, get to know.
You'd fight on talk sport, mate. Get you on the sports bar. That's what we need.
But the point is, yeah. Right? Oh boy, I'll say a few things that give me a horror. I tell you. But anyway, moving on. But the point is, yeah, is that you know, the thing we went big deal about top four, and then all of a sudden now, I've got fans turning it all over, saying, "Oh, it's the worst time as Conte manager. Oh my gosh, it was awful, absolutely awful." And I'm sitting there thinking, "Wait a minute here, you were jumping about this guy a long time ago. What are you talking about? The only people that were going on about him saying he was awful was Sava. Big up to Sava all day long, every single time. You know what I mean? You know, and me as well, and others as well. But it's like, come on. Now, Ange comes in, he just plays forward football. All he needs to do is play good football. That's all he needs to do is to play good football. And now the fan base goes mad. And if the same player did the same thing to him, everyone will go mad. Everyone go mad. Jay's absolutely spot on with what he said about Richarlison. Absolutely spot on.
Okay, so let me quickly touch on the other two.
I would have done a video on it. It's just
let me touch on the other two players that I wanted to mention. So, the Bizuma, yeah, is now Bizuma. Okay, so I remember. Last year, do you remember, Mr. Box Office? We used to have these discussions about Højbjerg and Bizuma, and I used to say, I'm not sure on Bizuma, and everyone would tell me how much better than Højbjerg he was, and everyone would tell me, and I said, the spirit of Bizuma, the spirit, it's the essence, and what I mean by that is sometimes people like the idea of who a player is rather than who the player truly shows themselves to be on a weekly basis. Now, Bizuma, to me, I'm like, are you a fair weather merchant? When it's sunny, 3 o'clock, light breeze, family in the stands, yeah, boots nicely polished by the apprentices. You stepped on the pitch, you had a good 8 hours sleep. Yeah, I'll give you a 7.5 out of 10 that day. Sure, no problem. But any other circumstances, the wind's blowing a little bit. Maybe he slept a few hours. Maybe this, maybe that. He's giving you 6. He's giving you 6.5. He's playing within himself. He's not brave. It's easy to be brave when you've not made any mistakes. But now you make a mistake and now you can't be brave. Now you made a mistake and now you can't do all the stuff you were doing in the first few games because you're scared you're going to get tackled. So that's a mentality thing. That's you are not brave enough to play in the way that we need you to play. And ergo, you are limiting the team. So what are we doing here, Yves?
He's a better player than Højbjerg, but you make a very good point though about he doesn't turn up in major moments.
Brighton
and he hasn't
forward watch. That's what it is. All their players
he hasn't turned up in the and like I said, I think he has made a good point, Jay. To be honest with you,
occasionally even a broken clock's right twice a day, right?
No, but Jay, you make some good points because I have questioned Basuma, right? I like Basuma more than Højbjerg because I think Højbjerg just does a job. Yeah. But you make a good point. The fact that he hasn't turned up in the major moments, and that's a concern. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, though, Conte must have been right about him because he looked at him and said, "Wait a minute here.
That's the one. That's the one, Mr. Box Office. That's the one. For everything you say about Conte, yeah, he knows a bullshitter. Yeah, he knows. He can smell it. He knows it.
That's the thing, and I can't lie. That's the thing. It's right because the thing is, though, he has not stood up in major moments right now. This is a time when your midfield. This is the team that's had one game a week. By the way,
no, Mr. Box Office. Not even just that. Not even just that. The point you're making. The point I want to underline is when we had all those players injured, when all that stuff was going on, what did he do? He got his ass sent off.
Exactly.
He got his ass sent off.
Twice.
I can't disagree with him. I can't disagree with him because it's the truth.
I'm hating all this love.
I can't disagree with him.
Oh, me and Mr. Box Office is
But we're gonna always blow up. But we're gonna always blow up. I'm sorry, Sonny. I know you're not used to this on Talk Sport. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean. Unfortunately, you know what I mean. Because, like I said, you know, but unfortunately, this is what's gonna happen because we are passionate about our team. So that's the thing. But we have to big up my boys Ashmatic and Marlon, by the way, who's underrated, by the way. Yeah, and I want people to like this stream, by the way. Why are you not liking this stream? If you're not liking this stream, Mr. Box Office, you know what I mean? You know what's going to happen.
He's doing it all. He's giving all the PR. Normally you charge
exactly. But yeah, go on.
Okay, so we've done 2 now. Now we're going to go on to James Madison. So James Madison. Okay. Jimmy Madison. Jimmy Madison. So listen, yeah. I heard some rumors and reports about Jimmy Madison, yeah, and it was saying like he was, one of those Billy Big Bollocks guys, like look at my car, look at my one of those kind of guys, yeah. That's what I heard. Like when he was at Coventry, there's stories like that. When he was at Leicester, there's stories like that. Don't forget the casino stories where he got dropped from Southgate and England. Everyone's forgotten about those. I didn't forget about them. I put them to one side. The reason I put them to one side is because I knew objectively for £40 million, there was nobody who could get Tottenham from where we were last summer to where we needed to be and could add value to the squad. Cool. So we then move forward a little bit. Guys playing well, guys fit, guys in rhythm. Like a normal Leicester season, like a normal Coventry season, like a normal Norwich season. Okay, now he gets injured. Okay, cool. He gets injured. He's vice captain, by the way. Put that point to one side because everyone keeps forgetting he's vice captain. I forget sometimes he's vice captain. Do I forget he's vice captain because of how he acts? Or do I forget he's vice captain because of how he behaves? But we'll get there. So, comes back now from injury. A couple of things, yeah. One thing, this whole, I'm kind of injured, I'm kind of not injured, are you injured or are you not, mate? Are you fit enough to play and press and do everything that you need to do? Or do you need to be on the bench and come on for 30 minutes or something like that? Because I don't want you to be one in, one out. Don't want to use this as a crutch for when you play badly. Don't want to use an excuse. So let's put it to one side. Okay, he's coming now. James Madison is the best encompassment of what it is to be a Spurs fan. To give praise before it's truly earned. Mr. Box Office is right about that point to an extent. Spurs fans, we do this a lot. Now, look at what Bruno Fernandes has done in the Premier League over the last 2-3 years. Look at what Ødegaard has done in the Premier League over the last 2-3 years. And Madison absolutely has good stats, played well. But there's a difference when we're asking this person to run a top 4, top 3 side, run it all year round. We are asking you to be the playmaker of this.
Be the man.
We're not asking you to do a couple outside of the boot passes.
He's the man of the roast.
And be like, my work here is done. Do you know what I mean?
Be the man. That's what you're talking about. Be the man.
Bro, so all I'm going to say with Madison is...
Like Harry Kane was at Tottenham, the man, the guy, the go-to guy. That's what you're talking about, isn't it?
What I'm going to say is, with Madison, I noticed it the most, yeah? And I'll be honest with you. It was actually funny for me. I think it was against Villa. Was it against Villa? I think it was against Villa. And when he scored, I don't know if you guys clocked it, yeah? He wanted to go and rile up the fans. He wanted to go do his dart celebration, because obviously Leicester, Villa, that was the first thing he wanted to do. Yeah, it's weird. Like, it was the first thing he wanted to do. He wanted to go rile the fans up.
Wasn't that more the case against Malpay? I swear against Malpay, like he got proper rattled by
Oh
Malpay.
boy, I was there.
I was there, Sonny. So rattled by Malpay?
Sonny, I was there. And I could see straight away. It was like boom. As soon as he got in.
He bit on that. And I was disappointed that he bit.
Of course.
You can see him a mile off, Sonny. You can see a mile off when you're there. I was there watching it. As soon as he did that Mopay, you knew exactly what he was trying to do. And he bit on it. And he's got a tempo on him as well, Madison. Has got a tempo on him.
Have you not noticed?
He's got a tempo on him.
Have you guys not noticed? The more I watch Madison, yeah, the more I think, hey, if you if you took basically if you grade these people out, yeah, as in like like when you like a static on the TV. If you gave me a static Madison and you gave me a static Bruno Fernandes, and you had them approach the referee, and I didn't know who was who, I won't be able to tell you who was who.
I think at the first 10, well, no, I don't want to go on about this first 10 games because it was too early, right? But the thing is, though, you do make a good point. He hasn't been great. You know what I mean? And
I don't mind if a player is not going to be great. I don't expect 10 out of 10s every week. I'm not that fan. You know me, Mr. Boxers. I've never been that fan. What I am expecting from you as a vice captain, is for you to put the yards in, for you to lead by example, for you not to be every time. I'm just like that body language. That seeps into the team. If the vice captain is just,
that's why we need competition. That's why we need players to compete, though.
Hold that thought. Sonny, do you agree with these statements that this blasphemous that these guys are talking on Madison, the vice captain?
I feel like Madison has been one of the better players this season, despite the injury. I feel like he has got that edge to him, but he's one of those players where if you've got that edge to you, it can go both ways. Like you can like use it to your advantage, and he could rile up a player. You know, people compare him to Gaza. Probably not. You don't want to be compared completely to Gaza, but like he has got that sort of maverick style to him. And I think it works both ways. I think he's needed for Spurs. He was a good player to probably replace Harry Kane in the sense of like a talisman figure. And I think he does link up well with the team. You know, the problem I have is we've been screaming for a number 10 for years since Eriksen, and he has come in and sort of filled that gap. But I feel like there's different players in that squad to point fingers at over Madison. I understand the points, and I feel like they make sense, but I feel like it's harsh a little bit.
I think it's also, I think he hasn't, like I said before, the problem with the squad is that we have backups, and the problem is he's had too much of free reign in the team. So if he's not playing well, you just hook him off and that's it. You know what I mean? But I think Jay's spot on what he's saying, because, you know, Fernandes has not been great for Man United, and he does complain a lot. And Madison has been doing that recently. Since he's come back from his injury, he has been up and down. You know what I mean? I think we rushed him too early, because we've got nobody that can do things like him, like Sonny says. You know what I mean? Yeah. But, you know, that comes back to the whole thing about the squad. If he's not playing well, you could just hook him off and just put somebody else on.
Me personally, I think a lot of teams have figured out that Madison is the main go-to. A bit like how it was with Basuma. Teams start to clock on. We played through Basuma. So they started putting players on him, and that stifled his game. This is just my opinion. Then he had a few games, as you said, where he tried things, he dribbled, it didn't come off. And then I think, like, for me, the fan base kind of turned on him when he was making those dribbles against Man City and he loses the ball. Then all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh, Basuma, why is he doing that there? Blah, blah, blah. When he did it against Arsenal, no one was complaining. You see what I'm trying to say? So at the end of the day, these guys are human beings, and that bravery aspect is going to be affected, in my opinion. They're not going to try things as much. Even if Ange says, don't worry, it's on me. You try that all day long. I don't care. Like, you got 60,000 fans screaming at you, what are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. I feel like a part of that is the reason why he's playing within himself. And I think with Madison, now Madison's being that guy to all teams are clocking on, like, oh, Madison's that guy for Spurs. It happened to Kane as well. They start taking lumps out of you. They start clamping down on your ankles. Remember, he got injury from his ankle, and what's his name? Lukic and I forgot his name, the midfield for Polinia. Both of them crunched into him.
They're dirty bastards.
Both of them took him out. They were like, at one point, he did get rattled. I met with Jay, what Jay said. He did get rattled. He did retaliate at one point. And then Sarr had to back him up and create another foul situation as well. But I'm starting to realize that as a pattern that these players, like, they're going to try and be physical with him. They're going to be a bit nasty, and they're going to try and get in his head. And it works. It does work. And that's another way to how to stop Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? It's like old school, like anything. Just stick a man on the best player. Oh, that's the number 10. All right, get a man on him. That's what I do. When I'm playing football, my task, if I'm a DM, I'm looking for who's the best player on that team. And I want to stick to him like glue. I'm not going to give him no time. I'm going to try and get at him. I'm going to give him a challenge to let him know I'm there. And I think that's what's happening with Madison quite a lot of the time. There's no space for him in that midfield because of the way we play. So sometimes he does drop him because the ball's not coming to him. You know, like sometimes Kane was up top. No balls are coming to him, and he's thinking, "Bro, we need to be front-footed. I need to do something about this." So Kane used to drop in and had to pick that ball up, and then players used to clock onto it. I think the difference between, I think Sonny said it already, between Kane and Madison, Kane had the strength. I don't think Madison's got that kind of strength where he can hold a player off and still deliver that ball. Do you know what I mean? So that's where I kind of sit with it, because if Madison scored against Fulham, because he had his chances, if he scored, he takes one of them, then a different Madison comes out.
Can I just say a couple of things on the point you make, because I think it's great points, and I like debate. Like I like conversation points, and I like people to critically assess them. I don't necessarily need to be right. I'm just like, let's debate this. And the thing about Madison as well is that I'm holding him to high standards, and it's almost like it's weird because
you have to.
I'll be honest. I never thought he was playing as well as people were telling me he was playing in those first 10 games. And I know that might seem blasphemous, and he was making the team tick and he was running the team. But it was almost like there was a few games that he ran the whole game. But then in other games, it was more moments of the game rather than dictating the whole game. And then I was almost like, well, if he's not dictating, who's dictating? Because no one's dictating them. And I'm looking at him and I'm saying to myself, right. And this is me speaking fairly. It's like saying, well, he's going to miss 25% of the season. That's what it seems like on average, right?
Yeah, that's right. Correct.
So he needs to be on it, because I can't have you be good for 70% of your 75%, because that's only like 50%.
I get it.
So you're only playing well for 50% of the season now. And I'm like, so that's why I'm coming at him a little bit harder.
I get
because the one thing his peers have, like Odegaard and Bruno, is these motherfuckers are always available. Always available.
I hear it.
Play themselves out of bad form because they're always bloody there. You know,
the problem is we need him. The problem is we need him. That's the problem, isn't it?
Of course we need him.
And that's the problem. But you make some very good points. And I would say the same thing as you, Jay. I've hit him to a high standard as well, because he's one of our best players. So you want him to be at his best. You carry on, Jay. Anyway, I don't want to interrupt you.
It's good, because the thing is, and that's why I'm saying, like, this is where you have to then start to critically assess the players. The one thing I've always said about Ange is it's either the tactics or the players. I'm real simple like that.
It's the players.
So that's what I'm saying. So the thing is that whenever I watch us do something daft, I always think to myself, what would Man City do in this situation? Yeah? I think to myself, how many times does Rodri cough the ball up in ridiculous positions? And I thought to myself, oh yeah, the time I can remember he coughed the ball up, what was against Spurs? And we scored straight away. Yeah? When he made the mistake on the edge of the box for Kane's record-breaking goal. That's the point. The players make mistakes in stupid areas. The players make bad decisions on the ball. Now, I don't know if that's a familiarity with a tactic thing or whether they are not technically able to execute what's being asked of them. Regardless, yeah, the one thing I don't want to see is Madison losing a duel on the halfway line when there's only two men behind him. That's the sort of thing to me that's just unacceptable. Like, you cannot, like, you have to retain it.
So
you cannot risk doing that. As in, if your risk profile in your head tells you to do that and you get tackled.
Let me cut in. If Basuma does that, is it acceptable?
No, it's only acceptable if it comes off. Because if you're doing that and it's
Then-
not
so
coming off,
then-
you're not capable of doing it.
So then, this is why Basuma's not taking those risks anymore. Does that make sense?
Yes, but what I'm trying to say is Bizuma, if you are trying to do it and you constantly mess it up, yeah, then you are not capable of consistently being able to do it. Do you see what I mean? I'm almost.
Isn't that like what Ange says? Ange goes like, it falls on me because he wants players to play this way.
Yeah.
And then what he sort of says is it does fall at my door. That's why I think, and it goes back to the arguments from earlier. I think that's why some people back Ange and are supportive of Ange, because Conte would hang the players out to dry, but Ange is taking some responsibility for all the players' actions. Whereas, he tells them to play, tells Vicario to play it into Basuma, who then puts it round the corner to Aporo. If that doesn't come off, then Ange will be like, well, that is partly me. But then in the back of his head, he's probably thinking, can I find another player who can do that? So it all works in tandem, doesn't it? Really?
But Sonny, right? I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jay.
Right.
But the point is that he has said that he's gave him a system, that he's given him the structure. It's for you to just express yourselves now. He says, openly says, express yourselves, right? He won't have an argument with them if you express themselves. So with that basis of what we're saying at the moment, because like I said before at the beginning, it should be the system making the player. It should be the players making the system. You know what I mean? And I think too much of the players are relying on the system to get to do a job. And that shouldn't be the case, because Ange is openly saying, express yourselves. So on that basis, you're looking at the players saying, you're not good enough.
Exactly.
I still think he that's not well. But look how much the team has changed already. Adogi's in there. Van der Ven's in there. We've got a new guy. So it's still not like he's still finding those final pieces of the puzzle. And in the summer, he might go to Levy and go, I need another 6, like we were saying earlier. You can tell he's tweaking it. It's still not a like.
I think the one thing we know about Ange is Ange doesn't throw the players under the bus, but he probably has made his mind up.
He's firm, isn't he? He's fair but firm, which I think is a good balance.
And I think one of the big things is that some of these players, right? And I'm going to speak openly on this, right? Some of these players are doing exactly what some of the fans criticized Dyer and Davies for doing.
Yes.
Yeah. They've come to this club. Yeah. They've seen a nice way to be part of a big club. Yeah. And you have to deliver. Because what we're going to do is we're going to birth a whole new era of these players, but without the stigma of the stuff of the near failures. Listen, if Dyer had the exact same game as Dragusin, I mean identical, no different, identical, he would have been hung.
But then this is the player. This is a player who's been here since January, and a player.
No. Sonny, I'm not saying that Dragusin had a particularly bad game. I'm merely saying the perception of the player would have gone the same game.
I watched it up at Dyer after that Wolves game, so that like it.
Well, we were calling him Virgil van Dyer under Conte, so I don't even know where to go there. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's our fan base all day long.
That's what I'm trying to say, boys. I'm saying that.
I slightly disagree. I slightly disagree because what I gripe was with Dyer, and it's a style of defending, to be fair.
Yeah.
But he kind of like didn't tackle. Like
he doesn't engage. I know.
What did he do? He was really good at being carried by Dembele. I feel like.
No, but that's the thing. And I'm not trying to critique Dragusin. I'm merely saying that a lot of the performances, the perception, I hear you what you're saying. How long you give a player? I'm like, nah. Our vice captain needs to look at our other two captains. Yeah. So Romero, Son, Madison. Romero and Son get pelters all the time from the fan base. Yeah. So why does the guy who has the least amount of money in the bank with me get off scot-free?
He shouldn't. He shouldn't. No.
Say Madison. You talk about Madison still, yeah?
No, I'm just. All I'm gonna say is all I'm saying on Madison is that
That's not a problem.
these are players now who you can argue. People were saying, "Oh, Bizuma's the leadership group. Madison's the leadership group." This is the new leadership group. People, you didn't like the old leadership group. All right, what do we think of the new leadership group?
Yeah, I don't know how Skip was let into the old one, so I don't know what was going on there.
Well, it still needs to be tested. It still needs to be tested. That's what I'm saying, because I'm nervous about next season. If we get top 4 this season, I'm very, very nervous about next season because
I'm not nervous, but I'm like,
very nervous.
I heard what people said. Like, we do not exist in a vacuum. The rest of the top 6 are going to improve.
That's
rest
the
of
point.
the top 8 is going to improve.
That's the point. You need to be better next season. That's the thing. That's what Newcastle are struggling this season. Man United have struggled in this season because they couldn't do better than this season. You need to do better. That's what Angie's what is saying. Because if you're just thinking about top 4, other teams won't be thinking like that, and they'll just go above you. You know what I mean?
No, I'm
because
with
if
it.
it's that easy for us to be top 4 race this season, right? Being championship contenders at the early part of the season because it was bang average league, right? Why do you think it can't be difficult for other teams to do it next season? You know what I mean?
No,
And this is where the Doji needs to be better. Van der Ven needs to be better. Vicario needs to be better. All of those players need to be better than they are this season. You can't do the same thing you're doing last season.
Listen, Mr. Box Office, if Van der Ven is better, he's gone. He's out of it. He's out. I'm telling you, bro, from now. The point is for his hearts. I'm telling you, he's gone.
But the point is, though, the point is, Ashmatic, unfortunately, this is reality. This is reality, right? They have to be better because teams are going to look at them and think, well, we know what to do with Van der Ven now because his handshakes go like this. We know what to do with Doji now. We know what to do with Poro now, don't we? You know, we know Vicario's weaknesses.
We are looking for a centre back. So I'm assuming that Dragusin will
go back. But one thing, hold on. This is the one thing I'm going to blame Ange for a tiny bit. Teeny. I don't blame Ange for anything, but the one thing I'm going to blame is Davies not first choice backup left centre back.
But I think the point is with him.
We find out against Luton.
We should be beating Luton anyway.
No, man, do you not see my point? As in, like,
I think he's trying
didn't Davies basically sacrifice his hamstring in that very last moment when we knew Van der Ven was coming back the next game? Like a poignant, noble death from Ben Davies. And he popped up a few weeks later. He's the left-sided setup. I thought the whole point was him and Romero worked pretty well together. They could work together. They defend together. Now, Dragusin's getting minutes because he was bought, and he's kind of, I don't want to say he's jumped the line, but
he has jumped the line.
He has jumped the line because Ange wants to appease his new signing.
He's not playing, otherwise he will think, why didn't I go to bloody Bayern?
Oh, of course, and I completely get it, but that doesn't mean that Davies probably, arguably, could still be.
I don't think Davies has been fit either, has he? I swear there was he picked up a knock along the line.
Was he on the bench of the weekend?
I think the point is that he wants to start this new era, and if he's going to play, like, because for example, Højbjerg's not starting games over Bissouma, even though Bissouma hasn't been informed, but Højbjerg's on his way out. So my assumption is that he's playing Dragusin over Ben Davies because he's saying that this is my team moving forward. Now, there's a possibility maybe that Ben Davies might be moved on, if not this summer, then maybe in January, if we don't get that centre-back target. So I think that's the answer to your question, in my opinion. I think it's a case of the old guard. He's trying to get rid of the old guard, and he's trying to bring in his players, his identity. Yeah. But on that note, guys, I'm going to hand it over to Marlon. Marlon, do you have any last things to say?
No, but thank you, all of you. Like, you made it last half an hour longer than it should have, but no.
sorry.
But I blame Jay. I do blame Jay. But Alex, thank you as always. You haven't killed the ratings tonight, so cheers, mate.
Can I just say this? Yeah. It's been nice to having Sonny on here. You know what I mean? Because you know what, you see people on stream and you think, oh, he's the same old guy saying the same thing. You know what I mean? But to be honest with you, you know what,
Sonny.
mate. You're not too bad, you know. And I'm glad that well done, I'm glad I can see why they love you on TalkSport, Bob. You know what I mean? So big up to you, bro. Big up.
There's a
to you,
reason
bro.
I've been put in the middle of you two to just make sure it's on.
Yeah, it's gonna be like that with me and Jay.
Always.
It's always gonna be like that
To
with me and
this
Jay.
day.
It's always gonna be like that with me and Jay. It is.
Yeah, no, it's not like people like I actually have a lot of time and love for Mr. Box Office. And I think the thing is,
it's all about football. It's all
yeah,
about
if everyone there's no point in everyone agreeing. Like I said, the way Mr. Box Office views football, from behind the sofa is different to how I view football, and so as a result, there's like it's good because I think that he has. I remember when I first spoke to Mr. Box Office, he was one of the first people I'd ever interacted with who wasn't like, because I'm quite positive. He was almost like the opposite of me. So it was always, after a while, when you actually start listening to people, you're like, he's got a point, because if your default is positive, you always kind of see the good in situations. But sometimes you do need to be like, see it from the other way. Not quite the right wing Spurs Twitter, but like, centrist middle right is more than enough.
Woke Spurs Twitter.
Well, I don't do Twitter because like I said, I'll go on what is it? YouTube.
We wouldn't even see if you did Twitter, Alex. We would never see you.
No. I don't know. I can't be asked for that. No, sorry, but like I said, it's been a pleasure to be on the stream with Sonny. By the way, it's been great to have you. You know what I love about you guys. You know I love you guys. You know what I mean? You're underrated, Marlon. You know you're underrated. You should be more on stream all day long. And you know I love you, Ashmatic. And people need to watch that rival show, by the way. And big up to Jay. Yeah. And big up to Jay as well, by the way.
You're too kind.
Big up to Jay as well, yeah. But don't keep hiding, bruv. Don't keep hiding, bruv, yeah? Yeah, I want more of that. You know what I mean? I need more of that. You know what I mean? You know? But big up to everybody, and that's it, yeah? Mr. Box Office TV, like I said.
He's taking over!
Mr. Box Office TV.
5 minutes.
I only need 10 subscribers to get to 1,000. You know what I mean? But that's all I need to say. That's it. Back to you guys. I'm done.
I'm gonna drop you subscribe now. Yeah, let me.
Sonny, please tell the people where they can find you. A lot of people should know already.
Yeah, Sonny Talk Spurs on YouTube, Sonny Snelling on all my socials. If you want some Spurs propaganda shoved down your throat. The PR. No, I'm balanced. I give both sides of the argument. I do, honestly.
And Jay, save you till last.
He's on mute.
That's where it should be.
I see him. Marlon's like, that's the most sense he's made all night. You can catch me, J-Rated R. And at Team Sheet HQ launching very soon. Was going to launch the other week, but you guys do a fabulous job. And what you do is you make people who don't run regular streams or podcasts think that this job is a lot easier than it truly is when you actually get around to doing it. So nothing but love to the panel. Sonny, it's actually very nice to be on a stream with you. Mr. Box Office, it's been a hot second. Good. And to Ash and Marlon, thank you for having me, as per usual. Sorry for my tardiness.
Also, just want to say this as well, Sonny. Keep to your opinion, bro. Don't ever change it. Just because I have a different opinion to you, right? Don't ever change your opinion, yeah? Because like I said, don't ever do that. Don't ever do that.
I just like to take other people's opinions on board. And there was some arguments you were making where I'll sit there thinking, actually, he's saying something that I'm listening to and I like.
Yeah, even though he's waffling.
Yeah, by the way, I know 3 people. I've said this already. One's down there, Ashmatic, who loves Ange. Kuva, who's in the chat. Big up to Kuva. And the one that is the biggest one, who's known him for 20 years, Paul the Hotspur hippie. And they all see my point of view. You know what I mean? And I see their point of view. You know what I mean? So it's not me not listening to other people, because I listen to other people. It's just I listen to people that talk about football. And to be fair to Jay, he talked about football. And when I listen to football opinion, That's when I start listening. You made some good points as well, Sonny, as well. But stick to your opinion. No one should change their opinion for anybody. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. That's the way it is.
I'll change my listen. If Madison goes on now for the end of the season, I will remove any Madison slander. But listen, I've got my eye on him. That's all I'm saying. Mister, I'm gonna play 3 outside of the boot passes and then take a seat. I got my eye on you.
He's where's
my last words. I'm gonna say quick.
Should have worn my Madison one. But there you are.
Oh, he's got the Madison top. Yeah, guys. So I want to big up Marlon first of all for doing a great job as always. Big up to everyone in the comments. You've been making the show spicy as always. And the people at home as well watching, silent watchers, I see you. I still see you now. But I want to just big up the rival shows. We do have a rival show tomorrow, and it's going to be a big one. So, guys, please tune in. It's on tomorrow. There's nothing going on tomorrow. There's no Champions League. There's no Premier League.
No,
there's none of that. There's none of that. So tomorrow, just look out for it.
Deji. Oh, boy. I love that. Oh, this is going to be classic.
Madness. This is Sparta!
Yeah, so people, look out for it tomorrow. Deji versus Stefan. Please tune in Wednesday, 9:30. We've got some other guests on as well. Should be real spicy, but yeah, big yourselves up. Any last words, Marlon?
In Big Ant we trust. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.